All right, we're good to begin. Okay, I'll give everyone about 20 more seconds to get settled in. Find a spot to have a seat if there's any seats left. Thank you. All right, awesome. Welcome. Thank you all for coming, and we will get our open session back in action here. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So go ahead and rise, and we will. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we have a quick report of action from closed session and then one item that we need to take a vote on from closed session. So I just need a motion on item 2.1.
I would like to make a motion to approve the stipulated expulsion agreement of case number 11-25/26.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on item 2.1. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. And then on item 2.2, we made a motion to readmit 5 students, and that motion carried 5-0. On item 2.3, we made a motion to approve a 5-day suspension without pay for a permanent classified employee. That was resolution 2609 and also passed with a 5-0 vote. So that was our closed session, and we will get on to the announcement of meeting protocols. So this is a little bit long, so hang in there. I'll read our meeting protocols for the night. The Board of Trustees encourages public participation during the meeting and requests civility and the use of courteous language. The board does not condone the use of profanity, vulgar language, gestures, or other inappropriate behavior, including personal attacks or threats directed towards any meeting participant and/or district employee. There will be an opportunity to speak tonight to the Board of Trustees on items not on the agenda during the public comment section, as well as opportunities to speak to each item on the agenda when that item comes up for consideration. In the interest of facilitating the conduct of the public's business, members of the public who wish to address the board during the meeting will have specific time limits as follows. If less than 10 members of the public wish to comment on agenda or non-agenda items, the time limit for public comment will be 3 minutes. If 10 or more people wish to comment, the time limit will be 90 seconds. Any complaints about specific employee or employees of the district should be made to that employee's immediate supervisor or the school site principal as outlined in our board policy and administrative regulation. Please complete the comment form located on the table in the lobby, and we will call on you when it is your turn. The meeting is being audio and video recorded and will be archived. And this meeting will be live streamed for viewing only. The link to the live streaming can be found at rjuhsd.us/livestream. All right, that was it. So if you haven't gotten a form and you're wanting to give public comment, just make sure that you do those so that they will make their way up to me. And then we're going to move on to our exciting stuff. So item 4 is our special recognition and presentations. 4.1 is our recognition of our student board representatives for 2026.
All right.
You're up.
So if you want to pass these down so that Heidi can give them to him, we're going to call them up and then Heidi can give them to him.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we have 3 student board representatives to recognize this evening. We're going to start first from Antelope High School, Miley Phillips. Come on up, Miley. Congratulations. Thank you, Miley. see. We could do a picture at the end. Let's give them up and then we'll do one. Yeah, you can hang out right by Kim. All right, next, from Oakmont High School, finishing her second term with us, Peyton Gomez. And then from Wood Creek High School, we have Sarah Mohammadi. Sarah, sorry, Sarah. Yeah, down.
All right, ready, 1, 2, 3. One more. Big smiles.
All right, thank you to our student board representatives. They're really awesome. It's great having you guys. And if any students out there are thinking about it, I don't know if you guys saw it, but that was crumble that they just got. So that makes it really worth it. I'm a huge cookie fan. All right, next big exciting recognition we have, item 4.2, our recognition of our West Park High School staff members. And who's going to be presenting on that one?
I'm going to go ahead and introduce our
okay.
presenters. So, good evening. I'd like to introduce Principal Becky House and Director of Student Services Julie Winkle. They're going to be walking you through an event that took place at West Park High School and recognizing the outstanding service of our staff members.
Good evening. We are here tonight to honor the, oops, sorry, didn't turn on the mic. We are here to honor the actions that saved a student's life on West Park's campus. On April 10th, during a first period band class, a student named Mark became visibly ill and collapsed in the classroom. His teacher immediately triggered our emergency protocols by using our direct, we call it the BAT phone. It's a 7911 line that is on each one of our campuses. School nurse Jennifer Baer and SRO Wilson were the first on the scene, finding Mark unresponsive in the classroom. To ensure both Mark's privacy and well-being of his classmates, Assistant Principal Loya and Mr. Neff quickly relocated the other students to a nearby room, creating a clear space for life-saving work to begin. Nurse Baer immediately started CPR while calling for the AED. Campus monitor Dave Underhill relied on his training to find the fastest route, arriving with the unit in under 2 minutes. Together, Nurse Baer and SRO Wilson applied the AED and followed its instructions and treated Mark until EMS arrived. Because of the seamless communication between our staff and 911 dispatch, paramedics reached the classroom within minutes, stabilized Mark, and then transported him to the hospital. Throughout the crisis, our school personnel remained in constant contact with Mark's parents, ensuring they could meet him in the ER. On top of that, the work didn't stop there. After the event, the safety team on the campus conducted an immediate debrief to sharpen their practices to even further. This incident is a powerful reminder of why we drill and practice, so that when the worst happens, we act as a unified team. No one carries the weight of school safety alone. We are incredibly proud of these employees. Their coordinated, timely actions saved a life, and perfectly embodied the culture of care we strive in RJUHSD. Principal House joins me tonight to recognize her staff.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and district staff. It's my pleasure to honor our staff tonight with our Panther Service Awards. We give these every year. We don't usually give 8, but we're giving 8 today. Before I start, I want to say we are beyond grateful to see Mark here and doing really well. It is clear that the Moon family is incredibly strong and surrounded by a wonderful community, and we are very grateful that they are a Panther family. As you know, safety is always a priority at our schools. However, sometimes you do not truly know your safety plans will work until you need them. I am pleased to share that our safety plans worked exactly as intended on April 10th, 2026. I would like to recognize our staff members who played both seen and unseen roles on April 10th. Staff, can you please come and line up for the presentation of the awards? I'm going to start at this end and work my way. We got them all in a line perfectly. First, Assistant Principal Brianna Hurd. Brianna has been the backbone of our safety planning for the past several years. She has attended safety conferences, established a strong safety team, and constantly works to improve and update our safety practices. The plans she developed and the leadership she implemented were critical in the response to Mark's emergency. Next is my secretary, Paige Cahill. Paige is a critical player in all emergency situations. She is regularly the person communicating with Roseville Fire and Roseville PD during emergencies, and she is often the staff member who contacts family members during difficult moments. On April 10th, her role was Paige met the ambulance and fire department and directed them quickly to the band room. Our assistant principal secretary, Chris Biggin. Chris has the most important phone, the bat phone, on the campus sitting on her desk. It's a red emergency phone. It has a very distinct ring. She answers it every single time it rings. On April 10th, she answered the call when Mr. Neff requested immediate help. Chris quickly put Officer Wilson and Nurse Bear into motion and then called Mr. Moon, Mark's dad. Her calmness and composure during a stressful situation were paramount to the success of what we needed to do. Next, we have Assistant Principal Logan Loya. Logan immediately jumped into action when the emergency began and was in the room supporting staff throughout the response to Mark. His steady leadership and willingness to help wherever needed were incredibly important in those moments. Next, we have band teacher Patrick Neff. Mr. Neff noticed Mark falling immediately and jumped into action by calling our emergency phone. He quickly recognized the need to move his students to the next room and did so with urgency and care. He also played a critical role in supporting students during an incredibly emotional moment, especially those who were close to Mark. We are grateful that Mr. Neff acted with swift professionalism and deep compassion. Next up, we have campus monitor Dave Underhill. Dave is a leader among our campus monitors. He takes safety and relationships with students seriously and is beloved by students and staff alike. On April 10th, Dave retrieved the AED. Thankfully, we have 6 AEDs on our campus, and Dave knew immediately that the closest one to Mark's location was the gym. His knowledge, urgency, and decisive action were really critical on this day. Next, we have School Resource Officer Adaris Wilson. We are thankful every day for our partnership with the Roseville Police Department, and especially for Officer Wilson. Officer Wilson is someone who runs towards emergencies, and thank goodness he did that day. He helped administer CPR and stood shoulder to shoulder with Nurse Bear throughout the emergency response. Officer Wilson is a key member of the West Park High School team. And last but definitely not least, school nurse Jennifer Bear. We knew we struck gold when we hired Jennifer Bear. She is professional, kind, and a deeply personable nurse. Her daughter is also an outstanding West Park student, making her an important part of our community in multiple ways. From day one, Jennifer has advocated for the health and safety of West Park students, and her skills and expertise were immediately evident. On April 10th, those skills saved Mark Moon's life. When she arrived in the classroom, she quickly assessed Mark, immediately began CPR, and directed Dave to retrieve the AED, which she then used expertly to revive Mark. Simply stated, along with Officer Wilson, Nurse Bear saved Mark's life. We are incredibly proud of our staff. In my 20-year administration career, I've never seen an event like this. So we've shared with each of them how important their role is in making sure that our students stay safe. So I'm going to invite Mr. Moon up. He'd like to say a few words as well.
Before you do, for our staff.
Hello, my name is Chris Moon. I'm Mark Moon's dad. And I'm so happy that all of you are here and were there on that day. I had planned to say some things, but it's just having all of you here and hearing that description from Becky House is powerful. And I wanted to get a chance, I know I emailed all of you back in April, and I wanted to get a chance to say thank you for your leadership, because I think it's that leadership that has allowed all the high schools in the district to have their culture that meets the needs of their community. And it's evident that West Park High School has set things up to meet the needs of their students, and they've done such an amazing job. When we first were in the emergency room with Mark, we were trying to grab onto some positives of the situation, because we didn't want to grab onto the negatives. And all the positives were West Park High School. Everything that happened, we could list moment by moment what happened at West Park High School that were all amazing positives. And we spent 7 days in the emergency room, in the ICU, and then we were transferred to Stanford Children's Hospital. Every doctor, every nurse, every medical technician said that West Park High School saved his life. And you know, Officer Wilson, Jennifer Bear, you guys performed CPR. Multiple nurses told us that that's not something that you just do and walk away from. It kind of sticks with you for life. And I just really appreciate you saving his life, both of you. Thank you so much. And thank you for the board for your leadership and allowing the schools to be able to create the culture that they need to create for their community.
All right, well, thank you so much. Were any other family members or members of the public wanting to speak on this item? No? Okay, well, thank you. I mean, it's such a powerful testament to safety plans gone well, right? Because obviously lots of safety plans can be written up and look great on paper, but then seeing them executed in the action is, as you said, a whole different story. And with such a big campus as West Park, the coordination, knowing where the AED is, knowing where the closest one is, all these things take practice and training. I worked for Parks and Recreation for years. We had EAP, emergency action training, practice and procedures 4 times a year, and you hardly ever need to use it. But then the day that you do, it matters. And to have all the staff knowing exactly what they needed to do in the order that they needed to do it, and to have you here today is amazing. So thanks again to everyone who participated and helped in that. Any other board comments on that
Yeah,
item?
I just wanted to say thank you to Principal House. I mean, it's under your leadership that we have these great safety plans and staff in place. And I know it was emotional for you, just seeing you up here. So thank you for what you do as well at West Park.
And I'll echo that, how grateful I am that you took the time to come and share this just miraculous experience with us and let us just glean from that as well. So thank you so much. We're so grateful for the staff at West Park, for their professionalism, for their skill, and grateful that we get to have you still here with us. Thank you.
I feel like it's hard to follow all of what Becky said, but my breath was taken away. I appreciate your email, Mr. Moon, when you sent it to us, and I had no idea what had happened. And as a parent, how overwhelming and how grateful I am for all of the training and all of the staff, and really for all of our campuses who work so hard, and how important it is to have SROs and nurses on every single campus. I'm so glad you're great and doing well.
Well, Mark, thank God you're here. We're very thankful to all of these wonderful people, and as everybody mentioned, plans are only good if you practice them and you have them and you have a commitment to them, and I think everything played out exactly as it should have. And so I just can't say to the parents, as a parent myself of 5 kids, I can't imagine what you went through, but no, it's comforting to all the other parents to know that we have these plans and that you're a perfect example of a family that benefited from it.
All right, thank you, and we are happy that you got to all come and share with us today, so thank you again. All right, moving on to item 5, our reports and communications. We'll give it like 20 seconds, and then we'll have you guys read the board expectations. We'll let everybody resettle in their seats. There we go. Now we got plenty of chairs for everybody. And we will move on to item 5.1 on our agenda, which is our board expectations, and our student board members are going to read those for us.
The Roseville Joint Union High School District Board Expectations. Prepare all students for life, college, and career. High-quality academic opportunities for all students, and support student academic success.
Engage in partnership with families and the community. The school is a welcoming, safe environment that serves as the center of student learning, activities, athletics, and performing arts. Promote a sense of community in our schools and the surrounding areas.
Utilize effective governance and business practices. Remain open, transparent, and accountable to the community. Serve as an employer of choice with the highest quality teachers and staff.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll go on to our board reports, and I'll start with Trustee Schutz, and we'll go down the row.
So we haven't met for a while, so it was very busy April, a lot of things going on. We are in award season and graduation season, so we're going to be out and about a lot this next couple of weeks, but I had the opportunity to pop in at the Antelope High School open house on April 22nd. A very fun event, festive outside, connecting with faculty, administration, and families. I've cruised in and popped in at the Placer Collaborative Network Resource Fair this year. It was staffed with tables from all of our different nonprofits and other county agencies that provide different services to our county. So PCOE was represented, and our partner Sierra College was up there. I also went to the Tommy Apostolos dinner fundraiser at the grounds on April 25th. The funds from that fundraiser go to providing over 500 students each year with new clothing, school supplies, and other essentials. It was also great to hear that the Aldo Panesci Memorial Fund, established in Aldo's memory, was endowed to provide lasting support to that Tommy Apostolos Fund. Now, Aldo has been a leader in our community and giving back to students in education, and our golf tournament every year this year was named in his honor, the Aldo Panesci Golf Tournament, which provides scholarships to our seniors. Some of them will be getting them very soon. Also went to the Wood Creek High School Senior Academic Merit Awards and Scholarship event on the 27th. It's so fun at Wood Creek, having it outside where everyone brings their camping chairs. We have some music by the band who played Nirvana this year, which was really awesome. And it was great connecting with some parents, some from middle school days, from when our kids went together at Creekview Ranch. Was fun. Also went to, yes, the list keeps going, sorry. West Park High School Junior and Senior Academic Merit Awards, really great event. a lot of handshaking with Trustee Coleman. We got our workout there with all that. But really great to see all the accomplishments of our students. So many exciting things to come. So far in May, we have more AMAs and graduations, but I did pop in at the Unified Sports event over hosted by Roseville High School. And if you're not familiar with Unified Sports, it's affiliated with Special Olympics. And the goal of that is really to simply this, perhaps students with special needs and other general ed students playing together as a way to, build friendship and inclusion. And that was really evident out there during that event. It was a cornhole, which was a great kickoff to summer, nice low-key and easy. And I was also happy to hear that we are one of the most robust districts in our county as far as unified sports. All of our schools, sites do it. It's great. And then last week, and more will come from other trustees, but we were able to attend and recognize our retirees from the district, including teachers, our classified staff, and administration. It was a really special event, and again, we had the jazz band from West Park entertaining us that evening. So a lot of things and more to come at next month's report. Thanks.
Okay, I was able to attend Granite Bay's Academic Merit Awards, which was it's great to get over there to Granite Bay, and then also with Trustee Schutz was at West Park's Academic Merit Award evening. And it's really interesting and fun to see the different sites, how they celebrate their students. And it doesn't matter which site you go to, there's great accomplishments, a fantastic staff and support system, and a lot to celebrate. And with the rest of the trustees, attended the retirement reception where we honored, I think it was over 700 years of teaching. Was that it, Rob? Was that what okay. Of our retirees from our district, so grateful for the work that they have done over decades, over their careers to strengthen our entire district. And I wanted to make a special note to our Wood Creek High School National Honor Society. My mother-in-law lives at the Ivy at Blue Oaks. It's an assisted living home, and I went over there to help her one day, and lo and behold, there was the Wood Creek High School National Honor Society there. They were going to spend 3 hours playing games, and what really caught her attention was helping with her phone. And I said, perfect, let's make sure you get there. And I walked her up there, and the students just welcomed her. And when I talked with her later, she said that she stayed the entire time. She just thoroughly enjoyed being with them. So I was so appreciative. I know that represents Wood Creek High School. Again, I know that happens across all of our sites. So thank you.
All right, yes, it's been a busy time of year for sure. I was able to attend the Academic Merit Awards at Roseville High for the sophomores and juniors, so that was awesome. That's any kids with a 3.31 or above. Also at Roseville High, I got to go see Footloose, the musical. It's fabulous. It's over, so you can't go to it now, but I highly recommend getting to any of the school plays and musicals that you possibly can, because they're all so great. One more plug on Roseville High. This is a little bit old, but I forgot to mention it last meeting. I went to the chamber installation dinner, and the jazz band was the entertainment. And that jazz band was amazing. I walked into this huge event wow, this music is great, not realizing that it was the high school jazz band. So they were phenomenal. As Trustee Schutz and Coleman said, we were all at the retirement banquet. It was fantastic. I'm not going to name any names, but one person who's retiring has been here almost as long as one of our principals has been alive. I'm not going to say any names, but it was awesome seeing all of the teachers and staff retiring and hearing about the plans and the fun things that they're going to do in the future. I also wanted to give a quick plug for the Placer Youth Commission And Marla and I were able to attend the 5K last month, and the Placer Youth Commission does different county-wide initiatives. This year, their initiative was anti-vaping or vaping awareness, and they work with the county on their own board, sort of like a student board rep here, but countywide. And the application deadline for that got extended. It was pushed back until May 13th, so there's a little bit of time if students want to apply for that. I don't know if it comes with Crumble at the end, but they have a lot of fun and work on a lot of important initiatives. And then I was also able to attend something called the NorCal Design Build. Granite Bay High School and Wood Creek High School construction technology courses were there. It was at American River College, where 40 different high schools all over Northern California were out in the parking lot building full-on houses and sauna. Granite Bay built a sauna, a train replica. I mean, really amazing builds. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to our CTE programs around that. And I think that's it. We'll have a ribbon cutting on Thursday for the Roseville pool. So probably a lot of us will be at that. If anyone wants to come jump in the pool, I think you're allowed to. Is that true? That's true. So, all right, that's it.
Okay. I will touch on a few things. I was able to make it out to the Granite Bay High School AMAs, and I'm just going to give a shout out to the 103 students who met the Roseville Joint Union High School District Laureate of Scholarly Distinction, which is a GPA of 4.2 or higher and have taken over 6 or more DE, AP, and IB classes. So that's remarkable. Okay, I'm not going to name any names, but I still can't get over this, and I don't want to embarrass this person. But at the retirement party, I was looking at the audience, and I suddenly realized one of the people being honored. We grew up in the same neighborhood in the Bay Area, and she used to babysit me. So that was kind of a fun connection, and I recognized her. She looked like her mom and her sister my age, and it was. Anyway, that was just fun, and you guys can ask me later who that was. And I was able to attend with Trustee Coleman the Portrait of a Graduate workshop for AI, and I just want to share, it's still ongoing, the work is still ongoing, but I am so supportive of the discussion that they're having around creating a framework for how our teachers and students can use AI in the classroom, and also work on the durable skills that our students need for career and after just being successful after this high school process. That I will, and I don't want to throw under the bus, but my daughter, who's now in college, went through Granite Bay. She would share that she is still so afraid to use AI because she's afraid of being caught cheating. And I just am so happy that we are redirecting the way we think about AI so we can encourage our students to use it wisely and well. So, and I also want to share, one of the students at our table, it was her second time there, and she said that originally she wasn't sure that their voices would be taken seriously, and by the second session, she felt like they were a strong part of that conversation and was thrilled to be there. So we are taking our students' voices and experience and perspective as we discuss everything. So thank you for doing that too.
Well, thank you. Seems like a long time since we've been here, and I know we haven't reached our graduations yet, but a lot of colleges have been doing graduations, and it's been great to see so many of our high school graduates are graduating college, and I got to see 4 different at 3 different universities, and that was really good to see. I was at the retirement party, but you guys already covered all of that. Had some time to sit down with Ross from Pathways and have some really in-depth discussions about where Pathways has been, where it is, and all the wonderful possibilities for where it could be going in the future. And that was a really enjoyable time. What else do I have here? I want to talk about Purple Star Schools for just a moment. Our district was recognized by the state 4 of our schools have been recognized and designated the award of Purple Star Schools. And I want to thank first Mel, because Mel was the cheerleader for this, and maybe more like the conductor who helped get everything going, but also the 4 schools and their site principals who did the work to put everything together to demonstrate to the state our commitment to military families. And for those who aren't familiar with Purple Star Schools, essentially what it is, it's a program where schools not only talk about their dedication to those who support our country by serving in the military, but have structures set up that are easily identifiable for members of the public on our websites, and we have a key contact person at the district office in each of the sites, so that as military families either transfer in or out of our district, they get sort of a white glove treatment to get their kids in the class learning as quickly as possible. And if you know what an ombudsman process is, it's sort of like that. So we have the people that can handhold them. It's, you know, people who serve in the military have given our country a great gift of their time and dedication and selfless service, but oftentimes we forget the kids and the family that are here, oftentimes having to do things without one of the key decision makers, one of the parents helping things happen. And it can be stressful. And this move by our district to move in this direction, 4 schools this year and hopefully all of our schools next year, is a recognition that we have the ability to help and to assist. It was interesting, I think, through the process, I think we learned 2 big things. One is we already did almost everything that was required. We just didn't really tell people about it, and it wasn't readily accessible, and now it is. And the second is, I think we were able to be pleasantly surprised at how many of our families are connected to the military. Not just our families, but our staff have families that are connected to the military. This program's been around for a few years, but there's not a lot of schools that have been awarded this distinction. In fact, we're the only school in Northern California, the only school district, and we have 4 of our schools. The closest to us is Alameda School District, and it's because they have a base that literally is right there. And I think what's important to note is not just what we're doing for our students and their families, but the leadership that we're providing in the area. Since we took this action, Western Placer Union School District, or Unified School District, Placer Union High School District, Dry Creek Joint Elementary School District, and the Placer County Office of Education have all committed to jumping in and getting their schools ready and submitted to the state so that they too can become Purple Star schools. And then just a last minute plug for internships. You know, I had no idea that the Purple Star program even existed until one of our alums who was doing an internship in college reached out to me and asked why we didn't have Purple Star schools. And I asked him why, what he was talking about, and he explained it to me, and he was assigned to work on this issue on a military and veterans program that he was working on. And it was that conversation of him learning about it, reaching out and doing something about it that got my attention. And I brought it to John's attention, and John brought it to Mel's attention. And before you know it, here we are. And so just remember, when we have the opportunity, if you own a business or you know someone who owns a business or somebody who works in government, if we can connect our students in high school and our alums in college to internships, they can really make a difference. It's not only what they can do to improve themselves for their life in the future, but they can also help their communities. I think that's what happened here. So that's a long way of saying thank you to everyone here who did it. I'm proud of our district and proud of the work that you all did, and to continue to challenge all the other districts here in Placer County and across Northern California to jump on the bandwagon. Sorry for taking so long, but thank you.
No worries. All right, and to our student board reps now.
At Oakmont currently and recently, we have had all of our AP and IB testing. So shout out to our AP coordinator, Ms. Rossmiller, and our IB coordinator, Ms. Carroll. Very, very busy schedule. This week is our staff appreciation week, and every day we are doing a themed drink or snack or something in the staff lounge to support our staff. So shout out to our activities director, Ms. Haynes, for coordinating all of that. This Friday, we are bringing back our annual Fun in the Sun celebration. So we're going to have a beach day and have students come out and have free hot dogs, jump in the pool in the heat. So it's going to be fun to raise morale before finals. Next week is our farewell rally and final spirit week. So our IB dancers are going to be performing. We'll have a few awards for athletics and PBIS. And then we're getting ready for finals week and graduation. And I would also like to say that I was in one of the conversations about AI and student government. And I feel like it was kind of a similar feeling that you're scared to use it or even to talk about it because you're scared of being in trouble for it. So I'm really glad that now it's a conversation because it's here and it's real. So now it's actually a conversation that's being had. So to have that recognized, I think is really important from a student perspective.
As we wrap up the school year, Wood Creek is excited to host the Murph Challenge this Memorial Day. This event is a powerful way to honor the memory of Michael P. Murphy and all those who have served our country. The challenge features an intense workout with check-in beginning at 8 a.m. and 100% of the proceeds will be donated to the Wounded Warrior Project, helping provide life-changing programs and support for injured veterans. To celebrate the end of another amazing school year, Night on the Quad will take place this Friday. Students can enjoy games, activities, food, and a car show as the Wood Creek community comes together one last time before summer break. Finally, graduation for the class of 2026 will be held May 28th as we celebrate our seniors and all of their accomplishments.
All right, awesome. Thank you both so much. All right, item 5.4, our superintendent's report.
Yeah, I just have two items. One for communications. We received, Placer County Office of Education completed its review of the Roseville Joint Union High School District 25-26 second interim report and has given us a positive certification and approval for that budgetary report. And then real quick, last night, the Placer County chapter of AXA recognized teachers who make a difference from the entire county. Packed house, over 300 and something people in attendance, which our amazing Kim had to put together and organize. So if you need wedding planning, she's very available. But I just want to recognize 15 staff members real quick who were recognized last night representing our district, which was Megan Gasparini, Matt Paris, Natasha Catalico, Jason Sitterud, Michelle Larsh, Linda Varnum, Natalie Robbins, Stacy Wagner, Bobby Ritter, Jeff Underwood, Micah Albert, Garrett Grubaugh, Haley Stock, Brian Jew, and Jennifer Marsh. They were all recognized for their outstanding talents and really representing all the great things that our teachers do in this district, as well as Mr. Del Ordo out there was the MC, or not MC, the guest speaker, and got to speak to the whole house of folks there and just kind of solidify the reason why they do what they do as educators. So it was a great night and a lot of people being recognized.
That is awesome. I love that. Mr. Underwood also had a cameo in Footloose. So many talents. All right, on to item 5.5, committee reports. I don't believe any committees have met, so we will skip right to our RSCA report from Mr. Del Ordo.
Okay, I'll take off more than a couple of my pairs of glasses. Yeah, it was interesting at the retiree night, 700 years of overall experience. Brad ate up at least 110 of those by himself. Sadly, though, I'm only 1 year behind him, so it's not much of a joke against him as much as both of us, and he's always got better hair. Last night at the Teachers Who Make a Difference, it was a great night to just see all these faces of all these very excited teachers from around the districts in our area. Kim did an amazing job working through the whole time, so a little round of applause for Kim, who was like, she was checking everybody in. She, I think, prepared all the food. She was the band. She actually was valet parking people and then moving things in. So she was just unstoppable in the night. But it was nice to see. The sad thing again for me is, I'm sure with Brad, I kept looking out these tables that had like 4 or 5 teachers, and I'm thinking collectively, I don't think you've all taught as long as I've taught them. It felt very old. But it is nice to hear teachers make a difference as opposed to all the rest of us who just don't. And really, honestly, to qualify, you just have to make one difference on one student, and then you can get the award. So it was a good night. In more specific things to us, I've talked in the past about trying to get you guys to meet with us, but I keep forgetting what I should know after all these years, that this time of the year is just the worst time to try to do anything above just finishing testing and getting people to wrap up everything. We've got so many challenges, so I'm thinking about rescheduling, hopefully with you guys, meeting with just teachers when it works in your schedule. Next year, mid-August, early September. For those of you who are going to be running for election, I think it might be a great chance to get to just connect with people and they see you and you see us, as opposed to just doing our pack kind of interviews that we do. So it's more of the talking with everybody. I think that'll help. I'd also like to ask and request again, and to Dr. Karras has been great, Mr. Becker, our superintendent's been great, to continue on with the idea of just letting us bite little bits of things that are new to chew on. This portrait of a graduate is a great thing. Rolling in as best we can AI, because it is quite a bit of a challenge. We are finding students that are using it for all the wrong reasons, as you would be expected to see, and we're seeing students use it for so many amazing things. So give us some time to kind of get our heads wrapped around this new reality and come up with redundancies. So when some sort of hacking group from across the world then shuts down Canvas, we won't be stuck with the inability to actually do the things we do. So we'd like to kind of think that through a little bit more as this next month or so goes along. Other than that, everything's been going really well. We're just trying to wrap up school and make it through to another year. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Next would be public comment, excuse me, for items not on the agenda. So if you are here to speak to the boundaries, that is coming up soon and is on the agenda. But if there's anyone here to speak to any other topic that's not on the agenda, now's your chance. I didn't see any cards for it, but I wanted to double check. No? Okay. Are there any other people who are here to speak on the boundary discussion item that's later and you want to turn in your card? And so if you have a speaker card, then just bring that over to Kim and we will get to these in just a little while. Okay, perfect. So we will move on to our consent agenda, which is item 7. Any questions on consent or anything people want to pull?
I just want to make a quick comment before we vote on it.
Okay.
You know, on all of these consent agendas, we have the donations, gifts, and awards, and sometimes we forget to really recognize them. And today we have about $6,000 in donations to our district to support our students in various different ways. And for those who do that, I just want to say thank you and make sure we just take a minute to remind people that we appreciate what you guys are doing.
Excellent. All right, any other questions or comments on consent? No? Motion? Anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve then.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I will do a roll call vote down the line. Trustee Schutz?
Yes.
Trustee Coleman?
Yes.
Hall, yes. Franz?
Yes.
Constant?
Yes.
And our student board members?
Yes.
All right, consent agenda passes unanimously 5-0 and 2 student board members. And I am gonna scroll through all of that, which will take me just a second. All right, so now we are on to item 8.1, which I think most of you are here for, and that's our attendance boundary discussion. You still have time to get one of these filled out if you haven't yet, so I just want to give another opportunity to do that. And Mr. Landon, we're ready for your presentation, I believe.
Yes, okay. So as they pull up the presentation, I will go through the work we've been doing over the last couple months, and then we can open it up for public comment as well as board discussion. But here we are, May 12th, the next time we're here to talk about the attendance boundary. So just to recap, this is the current attendance boundary map that it's projected to be or that's going to be in play for 26-27. And so just wanted to recap, this is what our boundaries will look like this coming year. And as we look through, we get a demographic study that gets done every year. And so this is the most recent demographic projections that we got last January, and how those projections go to each one of the schools. These projections don't include any transfers in and out of our district or between schools. We do a further analysis based on our current transfer trends, what we project as we have students who are currently at schools and may have siblings that will continue to matriculate to those schools. And so as we look at our enrollment projections, we started color coding these items and each one of the schools, so we knew where we were going to be running into issues. So we're planning on needing to address this because predominantly the issues we saw at Roseville High School and West Park High School. And so those schools with our current boundaries were going to be above capacity starting in around 2029, 2030. So that's where we get to the orange and red colors. And those were the items we wanted to address. You'll notice at Granite Bay and Wood Creek, we see some gray colors. Those items are those schools are projected to be above capacity. However, we believe we can address those by closing transfers to those schools and/or adding a few portables that we could address those. But both at West Park and Roseville, we don't have the means of closing those transfers or addressing them through other means. And so we believe we need to address those for the future. So as we were pursuing this, we really had a couple main objectives that we wanted to achieve. Balancing the growth out in the Northwest to match the school capacities, ensure all schools are able to maintain robust programs and utilize the school capacity, and we want to reduce the school travel times across the district, whether that's from families or school busing. And one of the goals through this process was to achieve these objectives while impacting the smallest number of families. When we came to the board on April 14th, we had a proposal that you see here. And since then, we've updated that proposal to include what you see on your screen now. So we have added some additional housing from Placer 1 into Roseville High School. And then we moved back some families or some homes that were being initially proposed to move from Roseville back to Wood Creek. And so you can see the most recent proposal we want to talk about tonight. When you look at that proposal and the demographic projections, you can see what those numbers look like from the demographer. And then when you look at the enrollment projections with those new proposed scenarios, we have better numbers in those targeted areas for both Oakmont and Roseville. And we have numbers at West Park and Wood Creek that we believe we can manage and not need to have additional portables at Wood Creek and not need to not be above the capacities at those schools. So while we have growth throughout the district, we believe this is the best way that we've come up with to address these the enrollment projections in this proposed scenario. As our current school transfer status for 27-28, we currently have both West Park and Wood Creek closed to incoming transfers. All other schools have currently been open to transfers. If this proposed scenario were adopted, we continue to have open transfers into Roseville. For instance, we talked about the Crocker Ranch area. That's currently zoned for Roseville. We proposed moving it to Wood Creek. We would still allow transfers that wanted to maintain at Roseville would be able to continue to do so. This was something we brought to the board of what a proposed grandfathering could look like. This is something we proposed that we would discuss after the board approves enrollment projections, but wanted to bring this back up as a lot of the changes we would propose would be for future students. So any students in our system that are currently at a high school next year would be able to continue at the school they currently are at. Our proposal is that incoming freshmen would be able to remain at their current school if they have a sibling that is currently attending that school. And then we'd be able to phase this in over time. But we won't go into that too much detail because we need to have new attendance boundaries before we really get into that, but wanted to at least bring that up because that's something we would like to hone in as we get further along. So without that, I did want to go through that pretty quickly because I know there's lots of questions. I know the board wants to hear from the public. And so I wanted to move forward. Next steps that we would like to see is that the board would potentially take action on proposed boundaries, which would enable us to have future discussions on grandfathering, program specialization, and transfer policies. So with that, I'll move it on to the board.
All right, thank you, Joe. Do you guys have questions before comments? Okay. Let's go to the questions before we open it up to public comment, because you guys might have the same questions that we have.
Joe, if you can go to the projections modeling, not the current projections, but the proposed projections, not that one, the ones with the colors. This one. So I noticed that when we're looking at West Park in particular, we go from green to yellow to orange and then to gray. It says we can address by closing transfers, but we're currently have transfers closed and our numbers and projections are based on that now, what we expect without transfers, and it goes over. So does this mean that you anticipate that we will manage it by transferring people out?
No, and this was an error that it said it on the bottom, but with West Park, we believe we can address it by adding a few portables.
Okay.
Yeah, so that it's the gray didn't have, it used to have by closing transfers and or adding some additional portables. Right now, with the numbers capping out at about 32, right at the bottom of 3,300, West Park's going to have the capacity of about 3,200, so an extra 100 kids. It could be addressed by a few portables, and there's some space on that campus for a few portables.
Okay, and then my other question, so the action that we're going to take tonight, I noticed it said that we'll talk about transfer policies next, but I thought we had a discussion that we would have sort of a framework for transfers so that we could have that as a decision-making as a point of decision-making as we look at the proposed boundaries. So what's the status of that?
So the status for transfer policies, I think what we would propose is that the first step, for instance, at Granite Bay, West Park, would be to close transfers and then look at portables. And so once the number gets closer to that capacity, we'd be looking at closing, especially to inter-district transfers, intra-district transfers. But that's something we think would need to be addressed once we know what the actual boundaries are. But
I thought we had talked about sort of thresholds and how we would define it so that there's not ambiguity and all that. And I know for me, I consider that to be a critical part of my decision making.
Okay.
Because how we handle that is going to inform how I feel about the numbers. So if we haven't done it, that's fine.
One of the challenges, we did have some discussions about it. One of the challenges is when you put a certain number, for instance, at Wood Creek, we've closed Wood Creek, and it's not that they don't necessarily have capacity today, but we foresee they're not going to have capacity in the next year or two. So if we allow, saying once they're over 2,000, they're now going to be closed, then we could. So that's one of the tricky parts, but we have had those initial discussions about that.
Okay, I'll save the rest all for comments later.
Okay, yes.
I just had one. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'll go student board member and then back.
Hi, could you go to the proposed grandfathering slide, please?
Sure.
So it says for 2027 to 28 and 28 to 29, it says all incoming students must attend homeschool or go through the transfer process. So do you mean, like, for example, if someone goes to Silverado and they're in the district for Wood Creek, does that incoming freshman need to attend a homeschool first and then go to?
So by homeschool, we mean the school that they're designated, so the high school. So whatever high school boundary that they're in, if they're an incoming freshman, they would need to attend the high school that they're zoned for. Or they could apply for a transfer to another school in the district. So some of the schools would be open for transfers, and they could potentially apply and be able to get in. Some would be closed to transfers.
Okay, thank you.
It was just, yeah, thank you. So going back to that slide we had with the colors, I know we've talked about it before, but there may be folks here who haven't heard it, the significance of the blue box. Because I think that's where we were looking at, because you just mentioned in your last comment of, yeah, you know, like we have capacity at Wood Creek, but we're looking at a point where they're not going to have, and that's kind of where the blue box fits, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and if we wait to address it by the blue box year, you're kind of too late and don't have the ability to adjust in time.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
All right, any other questions for now? No, okay. So what we'll do, thank you, by the way, for coming. We love when people come give public comment, and we as a board have been talking about this for months. We've had board workshops, we've had discussion, and we haven't had public input until now. So we're happy that you're here, and I'm glad the word kind of got out that things were being talked about so that we could get some input. So the way that it'll work with comments, it's been a while since we've had this many, so I'm just gonna kind of go over it really quick. But because there's more than 10, you'll have 90 seconds, and there'll be a little clock that'll be up there so you'll be able to see it. And I'll read like 3 names in a row so that you know that you're next, right? I'll kind of cue you up, but you can stay in your seat until it's your turn, and then we'll go like that. Sound good? And then just as a reminder too, during public comment time, we're not actually able to engage with you. So when you talk, it'll be the next person, and you might be like, why are they just looking at me? And that's because that's how it goes. But then we will discuss after the public comment time is over. So, all right. So the first person up is Shauna Robin, or Sean Robin, and then Leah Jorgenhauer. I'm so sorry if I'm saying these incorrectly. And then Shahab Ara. All right, you are up. And then just for the record, because I probably will say some names incorrectly, just say your name before you begin.
Hi, my name's Sean Robin.
Okay.
Is that testing? Is it working there? There we go.
There we go.
Sorry. Okay. I'm a teacher, so it'll protect
okay.
well. So, yeah. Good evening. Thank you guys for letting me speak for just a few seconds here. But my name is Sean Robin. I'm a teacher in Rockland, and I'm a parent in the Mistywood community. And I just want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak real quick. I just want to say thank you to the board and the superintendent Becker for emailing me back. You guys responded pretty quickly and acknowledging the whole dilemma with Mistywood and the boundaries. When we bought our home back in 2016, we kind of bought it with the expectation of being in the Wood Creek thing. So when we saw it, it was abruptly, we were like, oh no, what's going to happen? Well, we've got 2 sons that are going to attend Wood Creek in 2033. So I just wanted to be able to stay at Wood Creek, obviously, as an educator, and my wife's an educator too. It's kind of that dilemma of like trying to get our kids to school, attend sporting events, and all that piece that makes that community worth it. So I just want to say thank you. I understand the struggle it is making boundaries. I know in Rockland we're dealing with a lot of stuff over there too with boundaries, so I appreciate it. Just wanted to give a moment of gratitude and say thank you guys for adjusting those boundaries. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and then Leah?
Hello, my name is Leah Gheorghiu. So I'm living on Zinfandel Drive, which is between Baseline Road and Vineyard Road. So I think it's a bad idea because the kids will be split from their friends. If you look at the proposed boundaries, you will notice that all the kids that are going to Silverado Middle School will go to Wood Creek High School, except for the kids who lives between Baseline Road and Vineyard Road. These kids will be split from their friends. These kids will be at the most vulnerable time in their lives, and they will need their friends closer. Then it is the distance. The distance from my house to Wood Creek High School is 2.4 miles. The distance from my house to Walkmont High School is 3.9 miles. It is a difference of 1.5 miles one way. That means 3 miles round trip. That means 60 extra miles per month. That means 700 miles extra per year. Who will pay for the gas? Will you? And then the traffic. The traffic is horrible on Sirby Boulevard. The Sirby intersection is the busiest intersection in Roseville. Do you really want to make our lives so miserable? Changes, and even with these changes, Wood Creek High School will be in the same situation of near and above capacity. It doesn't make any sense. So what I propose is that all the kids that are going to Silverado Middle School to go to Wood Creek High School, because there is only a small portion between Baseline Road and Vineyard Road that you guys are trying to move to a different high school. And they should go to the same high school with their friends.
Thank you. All right, Shahab, and then after Shahab is Patrick. All right, thank you. Okay, so Patrick Foster.
Yes, that's me.
And then, oh, perfect. And then after Patrick is going to be Stephanie B. and then Trisha Honey.
Okay, my name's Patrick Foster. I have two teachers in my family. One's works at Grant High School, and the other one works at Emotionally Disturbed School in Carmichael. One's a vice principal. It's important that the kids don't have to spend extra time going to school. I live in the Wood area. I bought a house because it's close to Wood Creek. I didn't buy a house because it was close to Roseville. The kids can walk straight down the street. They don't have to walk by stores. They go straight to the school. When they go to Roseville, they're going to have to, not all of us have a car, that their kids can get in a car, and they're going to have to walk. And they're going to have to walk past all these schools and all these other places where they shouldn't have to walk by them. They should just get to school right down the street where they live. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Stephanie.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie, and I'm a resident of the Mistywood neighborhood. And I would like to thank you for the care and consideration that you've made in revising the school boundary maps. The new proposed boundary scenario shows that you understand how the Mistywood Mistywood neighborhood fits into the community, and that public input was heard and valued. And we really thank you for that. We realize that it's still being a vote. This decision is about more than lines on a map or numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about prioritizing student stability and their mental well-being by keeping them with their peers and friend groups and maintaining their sense of community. It would be devastating for our children to have to leave the ties that they made over the past 10 years from TK to 9th grade at such an impressionable time. In addition, geographically, Wood Creek also makes more sense. Our neighborhood is so close that on football game nights, we can hear the band play. Mistywood is an established neighborhood of almost 40 years. Many of us have invested in our home here and made significant family and career choices to have our children attend Wood Creek. We should not be pushed out for new or upcoming neighborhoods. A neighbor that wasn't able to attend tonight asked me to present the findings of a petition on change.org that she put together, which gathered over 200 signatures from local residents that was curated just from people in a Mistywood Facebook group. And there's only 387 houses in our neighborhood. So this collective voice is a testament to how vital the Wood Creek connection is to our neighborhood. And just in conclusion, the stability and emotional well-being of our children is of utmost importance. On behalf of the Mistywood residents, I strongly encourage the board to vote yes on the new proposed boundary map, keeping the Mistywood neighborhood at Wood Creek High School. Thank you. And then I also have the findings for the
right, Trisha Honey, and then Shea Louise. Shea Louie?
Good evening. My name is Trisha Honey, and I'm a concerned parent of a current student at Diamond Creek Elementary who will be negatively affected by the proposed high school boundary changes. Our years spent at the elementary school level are used to create friendships, bonds, and connections with other students and their families. Support systems are established among families during this time as well. These new high school boundary updates will affect a small group of students who live in the Diamond Woods Circle neighborhood as the only group of students from Diamond Creek Elementary who will go to Roseville High School, while the rest of the school will move on to Wood Creek High School. With these change, those foundational elementary school relationships will be lost upon entering high school, a very pivotal time in a young student's life. The support systems created among families crucial to navigating the high school years will also be lost. Diamond Woods Circle is a small neighborhood to the east of Wood Creek Boulevard. The board found a way to add Misty Wood back into the Wood Creek boundaries, probably for some of the same reasons I've stated here today. I am asking the board to do the same and to be consistent with the rest of Diamond Creek, and please find a way to include Diamond Woods Circle in the Wood Creek High School boundaries. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have Shea, and then after Shea is going to be Samuel Ramos, and then Greg Betancourt.
I am also from the Diamond Woods Circle neighborhood. A little bit emotional, so I'm sorry. My name is Shea Louie. You might know me by Shay McGarry. I've emailed most of you about our situation as well. And I am also here to ask that we reconsider the proposed boundary map. We moved our kids here in kindergarten and third grade. And at the time, high school didn't even seem like something that would be within our reach at that point. So we chose our neighborhood based on our elementary school community. We knew at that time Roseville was the path to our high school. We've seen a lot of children in our neighborhood who have gone to Wood Creek through inter-district transfers. But over the last year when the transfers were closed, we accepted that Roseville was likely the path our children were gonna take. And while the school is significantly further from our home, we completely understand that all of the high schools are incredible opportunities for our kids to go to school. But when we found that our small slice of the neighborhood, about 350 aging homes with significantly smaller numbers of children by grade level, was going to be cut off from the rest of the Crocker Ranch community that does also attend Diamond Creek, we realized that we were going to be facing some significant challenges. We're both working parents. I travel significantly for my job, and we rely heavily on our friendships and the community relationships that we've built. So I'm asking today that you take into consideration the small slice of our neighborhood and reboundary us with the rest of Crocker Ranch to go to Wood Creek High School. We really appreciate the consideration. I know Tiffany has been in great contact with me, and I appreciate all the time and energy that goes into this decision, but really hope that you will take into consideration the friendships and the support systems that we've built over the years with our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. My name is Sam Ramos. I am also from the Misty Wood neighborhood. And I wanted to, again, thank you for your acknowledgement of public comment and for the proposed revisions and solutions to the problem that we will probably continue to face many times over in Roseville. Like many of the folks here in attendance, we're all attracted to Roseville because of the community. We're all attracted because it's such a great place to live. Roseville is growing immensely, and I think these types of growth problems will continue to have. I urge you that you consider the folks that have been here a long time and have been established, and potentially make accommodations or make some adjustments for those people that are new residents to the area instead of those that have been established that, like Stephanie mentioned, have done the research, I've been here for 16 years with a lot of specific focus on the school system where my wife and I could raise our family. My son has graduated from Wood Creek. My daughter has graduated from Wood Creek. I have a 7th grader currently at Silverado, and he wants nothing more than to graduate from Wood Creek. So thank you again for your revisions. Thank you for listening to the public comment. And I hope that you're able to include some of our other neighbors as well to make sure that the logistics and all the other challenges that we face with this rezoning of the school districts, or the high school zoning can be work for everybody. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, we have Greg. After Greg Betancourt, we have Ursula, Lindsay, and then Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Greg Betancourt from the Vineyard neighborhood. I'm a technology specialist working for Department of Justice. My wife is a speech pathologist for Roseville City School District. We have 3 kids currently attending Wood Creek, and we have 1 in 4th grade who would be affected by the change and not eligible for any of the proposed exceptions or grandfathering. It feels like West Park and Roseville population problems are being pushed to Wood Creek, and we are negatively affected. The change to our little neighborhood of about 200 homes to Oakmont, segregating kids from everyone they grew up with for 3 to 9 years at Heritage Oak and Silverado. This change is lazy and shameful and barely makes a dent in the overall numbers. The only comment and explanation I get from district employees is to blame and point fingers at third-party consultants drawing the map. You are adding more students to Wood Creek overall, but in order to do that, you are breaking the bonds and friendships of a couple dozen children. You can still add more students to Wood Creek to take some pressure off West Park and Roseville without having to remove our neighborhood. None of the proposals have even attempted to do this. What makes our neighborhood, Dry Creek's 350, attendance to Wood Creek less important than any of the homes you added to the north? We are probably less than 20 kids per grade level. You are voting to approve separating these kids from the friends they grew up with for 3 to 9 years instead of doing the right thing, like expanding Wood Creek with portables, planning appropriately at West Park, or encouraging Oakmont transfers by adding baccalaureate, CTE, or fine arts classes. Thank you.
And then we have Ursula, Lindsay, and then Jonathan.
Good evening. I'm Ursula Wiley, and I also live in the Mistywood neighborhood, so I appreciate the boundary lines changing. But I do want to read what I had for our other further away neighbors who face the same scary thought that we all had in the beginning. So for the last 12 years, our kids have all grown up together. They've gone to elementary school together, middle school together, played sports together, gone to birthday parties. And built friendships that are a major part of their lives. Wow, I read this a lot. As parents, we've also built a community around this same path. We know these families and we know these kids. We look out for each other, and that doesn't happen overnight. This takes years. This takes years of being on PTA. This takes years of volunteering at Little League, years of dance, years of all the events that build a community. So on paper, moving a small neighborhood may look simple, like a simple boundary change, but for the kids in these neighborhoods, it's not simple. It means being pulled away from their classmates, their teammates, their close friends they grew up with, right before the biggest transition of their lives. High school's already a major change, but the district should not make this transition harder by separating a neighborhood from their already built community. This is not just about what school name is on the boundary, but it's about keeping kids connected to their support system. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jonathan. I'm here to advocate for Campus Oaks. We are a new community. We're hoping to have more continuity with our schools going from Blue Oaks to Cooley and finally, hopefully, to Wood Creek. Our daughter is currently at Cooley, and so with your projections, the carving out of our community would definitely be something that could compromise mental health for our daughter. Those friendships, as many have described here, is something that I would like to continue to have for her as well. We have 4 kids, and we moved to Roseville in part because of the schools. I do want to say that almost all the schools, I'm sure, in Roseville are amazing and are most definitely great teachers that will help our kids grow and be successful. But being that Campus Oaks is in our backyard pretty much, our kids could ride bikes, go on scooters, and still be able to get to school without having to ride a bus. Roseville, where our child would go, or children, would end up being, I'm guessing, between 30, 45 or more minutes of a bus ride. So with 4 kids trying to commute to 3 different schools, I could see that being problematic if we didn't use the bus route. Obviously, friends is a big deal, but mental health is the priority in my mind. I do work with Alzheimer's dementia, so I do realize changing environments and going from a middle school to a high school and having all new friends can definitely be problematic. So maybe having portables, considering that at Wood Creek as a solution, and not carving out Misty, because that is also someone that's been here for 30 years, and I wouldn't want to, remove people that also have the deserving right to be in the school. So perhaps just proposing another idea.
Right,
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Lindsay, Jonathan, and then Chloe.
Hi, my name is Lindsay. I currently live in Attendance Area 350, the Vineyard neighborhood. I strongly oppose the proposal to move our neighborhood from Wood Creek High School to Oakmont High School. Vineyard is already part of the Wood Creek community and has a long history of students attending Wood Creek. Many families in our neighborhood purchased homes because of which schools were in our zone. I know I did think about that when I purchased my home in 2016. Our neighborhood families currently have students at Wood Creek, students coming up through the same elementary school and middle school pathway, Heritage Oak, then Silverado, or even both. Our routines, transportation, childcare, friendships, activities, and school involvement are all built around that pathway. We have put together a petition of over 120 signatures that we've also emailed the district with more, and we've also sent an email to the district with more specific concerns. I urge you to review that email before we make a decision. Today, I ask the board not approve the plan and keep the current lines as is, which keeps the Vineyard neighborhood within Wood Creek boundaries, or adjust the tiny little neighborhood back into the Wood Creek. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, let's see, do we have Jonathan Chambers? Or that was you? No worries. Okay, and then what about Chloe Chambers?
I am currently in the Campus Oaks neighborhood, and I go to Cooley with 2 younger brothers going to Blue Oaks Elementary and 1 other brother who's not even in school yet. Once we moved to Roseville, we had been planning to go to Oakmont, which we were not very happy about. But then we were proposed with the idea to move to Wood Creek, and we were very happy because it was much closer, a safe distance, and my parents were happy with the idea that once I was at age of being able to drive, it would have a safe distance and safe roads. But then we heard about the proposal of being moved to Roseville High, and were unhappy with the idea that I would have to drive through downtown as a new driver to get to school. Lastly, my friends are one of the most important things in my life. They are the people who support me, who I tell jokes with, and much more. So I was very sad when I heard that for high school I might not get to go to high school with my friends. Thank you.
Right, let's see, Debbie Betancourt, Renee, and then Rochelle.
Good evening, board members and superintendent, and of course, cabinet superintendent and the superintendent secretary. Debbie Betancourt, retired school superintendent, Folsom Cordova, worked in education 41 years. I'm here on behalf of 4 grandchildren. 3 are at Wood Creek right now, and 1 is coming into Wood Creek in the next 5 years. We have the same situation with Vineyard, where that cohort of 20 to 40 students will no longer be with their Silverado cohort, and so we're asking that you have Vineyard remain with the Silverado and Wood Creek cohort. For us, it is a matter of safety because of the Kirby Riverside area and the Kirby Sunrise area. Those are horrendous intersections for these students to go through. We also believe that there are other alternatives that may not have been looked at. I'm wondering, portables are always an option, but what about hot seating teachers where they don't get to stay in their classroom during prep time, but that classroom is available for another teacher? Also, paying teachers for working extra periods when you have extra students on campus. Are those considerations for you? And then when you do your transfers, of course, you'll limit the out-of-district transfers, right? Right? And then our employees given consideration. We do have a speech therapist in our school district, Roseville City School District. She'd be happy to move to Roseville High School if it gave her priority. And then also, would priority be given to those that were previously in Wood Creek's boundary? So those are the considerations for you. But again, it's a small community of 200 to 400 homes and a small number of students. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Do I have, let's see, yep, Renee, and then Rochelle, and then Andrea Kimbrell.
Hello. So I didn't write anything down, but I just want to thank you all for hearing us. I want to thank you for the work that was put into drawing these boundaries and looking at these things. At the end of the line, somebody's going to be disappointed, right? So there has to be change made somewhere. Somebody's going to be disappointed and not get what they're hoping for. I'm just hoping it's not my neighborhood. Sorry, everybody. We are neighborhood 350 Vineyard, which you've heard from a few people in our neighborhood. As you heard, we have about 20 to 40 students. It's a very small pocket. We have been slated for Wood Creek for 40 years now, I would say. My oldest son graduated from Wood Creek. My daughter has been on the Wood Creek Junior Timberwolves. We have neighbors here whose students are also participating in Wood Creek athletics. So to take them out of that area and move them over to Oakmont, it just seems like unnecessary to move our tiny little 20 students. There has to be something else that we can look at and put into place in order to accommodate that. So I urge you to please reconsider. Let's look at some other ways that we can do this. Please don't approve this yet. Let's take a look and see what other options might be out there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rochelle Itsumaru. Renee is one of my newer neighbors I met this year. As our kids are getting older, we're getting out and talking to each other more. We've all invested our homes in our neighborhood and grown our community, and I think you've heard that at length here. 10 years ago when I bought our home, we have seen a significant growth in Roseville. We know the West is growing, and it's going to impact all of us, and we understand that. I believe on the slides I saw in 2030 to 2031, your estimates on West Park were 3,190 students. That is almost double what Wood Creek is now. So my proposal would be build a new school. It sounds like you need it, but I digress. I think that's what we're doing here right now. With that growth of West Roseville, we're also going to see a significant growth in traffic. So although right now I'm slated for 14 minutes, no traffic at 7 p.m. in a morning commute, all of West Park, they're going to be commuting to the freeways too. We have jobs to get to. So that 14-minute commute will quickly escalate. And then if we have students at Silverado Middle School and Oakmont High School, we're looking at a problem for us parents here. I like to spend my morning commute driving my kids to school. Sometimes it's my only time of the day to catch up with them. So having that transportation be reliable for them to catch a ride with a friend or drive to school with me in a reliable amount of time so I can also get to work is important. I think we're looking at some significant dangers of not only the new drivers, which I think was mentioned, but we've all seen traffic increase in Roseville. So I think the students going all the way across town to a community that they have no relationship with at this point is going to impact our kids. I only found out about this because I happen to have a neighbor that's in high school. So I wish that our neighborhood was given some kind of information sent to us, so we could have collectively had more. We have 133 signatures in 7 days. We're a very small community. I'm in the same 350 district. So we have proposed new maps for you. I'm going to urge you guys to please consider us. And thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Andrea Kimbrell, and then James Wallace, and Julie Stoffel, and that's everybody.
Hi, good evening. It's good to actually put like a face to the name. I know I sent a few emails, got a few back, but it is kind of cool to get here to my first board meeting. I am also part of the Diamond Woods community, which I know you guys have your maps, but it's like this literally tiny little circle that got cut off at Wood Creek Boulevard. We go to the Diamond Creek Elementary School. I have a 15-year-old daughter who we were lucky enough to transfer into Wood Creek. I was aware that they were kind of starting to cut off transfers, which wasn't necessarily a problem because, again, our whole community was going to be going to Roseville. But now our little slice of the pie on the wrong side of Wood Creek is going to be sent to Roseville, while all of my 10-year-olds, dear friends who a lot of them she's been in school with since she was literally 3, like started in little daycare, turtle class together. And unfortunately going to have to be, split again at a very pivotal time in her life. I hear everyone here saying, hey, we're just a little slice, we're a little slice, and I understand like all the slices have to fit. I totally get that. We are just a little slice. There's only 3 of us moms here tonight, and not because it's, nobody else cares in the community, but it is a very small community that feeds into Diamond Creek and then Cooley, and what was Roseville, but now on the other side is Wood Creek. So I urge you to not pass it as is and just kind of continue to reconsider, all of the lives involved. Thank you.
Right, thank you. All right, James and then Julie.
Good evening. My name is James Wallace, and thank you all for your time, especially you two. It's great seeing you up here and taking your time and taking an interest. I live in the Vineyard area between Baseline and Vineyard and Crowder and Brady, that little chunk. My wife grew up on that property. She was in the first graduating class at Wood Creek. We live there with my father-in-law, and it's basically we have all of these. We're in the one little pocket of the area that goes to Wood Creek that people have horses, people have animals. People make the argument that, well, if you don't like the boundaries that you're in, you can just move. Well, we can't move. There's nowhere we can go. And we're only talking, I think I was looking at the map, excluding Brady Vineyards, because that's 119 homes. The whole rest of our community, of our neighborhood, we're talking a total of 93 parcels, which isn't making a dent in this overall map. I urge you to consider, the possibility of adding more portables to Wood Creek. Obviously, there's not a lot of people here in the room that are, in favor of a lot of these changes. I just urge you to take a little bit more time and put a little thought into this before just moving the lines. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Julie Stoffel, and thank you so much for the time to speak today. I'm a parent of a student who actually is going to be graduating with honors from Wood Creek this month. And when we were looking to buy a home, and when she was a 3rd grader at Heritage Oak, it was important to us that we had a path for her to go to a good high school that was close to us. And from the entire time that we've lived in this area, we've been able to feel that we were a part of the Wood Creek community, because at our old home we could hear all the activity, the band, the fireworks, and even at our home now in Mistywood, we can still hear see the fireworks, we can hear the band. We very much feel that our community is part of the Wood Creek community. I'm also concerned, I'm not concerned for my daughter, she's moving on to Cal Poly, but I'm concerned about my neighbors, because if my daughter had been forced to go to Roseville High School from Mistywood, it would have been terrifying to me, because I wouldn't have been able to drive her, and I would not have sent my daughter on foot or on a bicycle across a freeway like Foothills or Pleasant Grove to try and get over to Roseville High School. And I shudder to think that any child in my neighborhood would even possibly face that task. So I ask you to please vote in favor of the new proposed boundary. Keep Misty Wood where it belongs, part of the Wood Creek community. Thank you.
All right, that is all the speaker cards I have. Did I miss anyone? No? Okay. We will open it up to board comments or any questions that came up as a result of that. And I wanted to give extra thank you to Chloe, 'cause she was our only student. And there will be an opening in about 5 years for a student board rep for you. So you have to apply, but you should. All right.
I have comments.
Go
if you
for
want
it.
me to start,
We're
I'll
ready.
get started.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Just before
Oh.
you start, I'm going to run out, take a quick bio break, but
Okay.
I'll be right back, sorry.
Okay. Do you guys want to take like 2 minutes? Yes. We're going to take a 3-minute bio break, is what he called that. Stretch, if you need a snack, and then come on back in. Stretches in. All right, so we did miss one speaker, so I am opening up 90 more seconds of public comment to Miss Anna. Come on up, Anna.
Hi, my name is Anna Marissa. I'm from the Vineyard area, and I'm going to Silverado. I'm really sad because I have a bunch of friends that are going to Silverado, but they aren't in our neighborhood, and I'm really sad that I can't be with them in the same middle school. Because there's only a tiny bit of us that are left out from Wood Creek that we can't go to, and it's going to be a long drive. And the intersection is really busy to get to Oakland. So I really wanted to go to Wood Creek because, like, I have high school friends that are there, and they tell me how great it is, and I really want to go. So, yeah.
All right, thank you, Anna. All right, Anna and Chloe, we got 2 spots down there. All right, so we will bring it back to the board for comments and questions. I know, Trustee Coleman, you have comments.
I have a few.
Let me, first, before we go to comments, does anyone have additional questions? No, okay. Go, fire away.
Okay, so first of all, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate your community feedback. It's so helpful to us, and I hope that you have felt welcomed by us. We're grateful to hear from you. I appreciate you taking the time to share your perspective. These decisions, we are keenly aware that these decisions affect your families, affect your students. That is top of our mind. So please rest assured that that has never been a side note for us. We're very aware of that. And I also want to thank our staff, particularly our Assistant Superintendent Joe Landon and Superintendent Becker. They have put in remarkable work we've been talking about this for over a year, and then more intensely in the past several months, and they have put in a massive amount of work. And I really, really appreciate the time that they've put in. I have called them many, many, many times and have never felt like I was putting them out with my questions, with my proposals. And so I greatly appreciate what they have done and their professionalism. So a little bit of background for those of you here that haven't been talking about this for over a year. We have been carefully evaluating the school boundaries, as you're aware, to address the our growing population here in Roseville. And we're grateful that Roseville's growing. We're all benefiting from that. So we're happy about that. Throughout this process, the board has refined several guiding priorities that we gave to staff to work on adjusting the boundaries. The highest priorities have been balancing enrollment with school capacity and maximizing use of all of our campuses while maintaining strong academic and extracurricular programs at every school. We have excellent school sites, we have plenty of capacity in our district, and we want to utilize the capacity that we have and make sure that we have people to populate the programs that we have at our sites. At the same time, while those have been our highest priorities, wherever possible, we have also worked to limit the number of families impacted, align boundaries along major roadways, meaning we don't want to split communities in the middle of a community. We were mindful of that. We have talked about preserving K-12 continuity and community, those community connections where feasible, and minimizing travel times for students. So our district, we have 3 feeder elementary school districts that feed into our high school district. So that is a total, I counted, and I may not have done it correctly, but as of the time I counted, that was 37 feeder schools coming into our high school district. So it's not going to be a perfect fit. We are trying our hardest, but it's really impossible with 3 different feeder districts and all those different schools. Additionally, as you know, we've got the Placer 1 development that's coming in north of Roseville. It's under construction. Actually, some homes are already occupied out there. And that's expected to bring in hundreds of students, and we need to seamlessly plan for them and be prepared to welcome them into our district. Because Roseville has grown over 100 years, our schools are not ideally situated for the way our community lands right now with our population. That's just the way that it is. But the great thing is, because we've grown over the past 100 years, we have amazing heritage, amazing community in our schools. We have a lot of just school pride in our schools. Let's see. At this time, we are not planning to build a new school. We have sufficient capacity within our current sites. There's no reason to not use those sites. They're wonderful, and we want to use them. And building a new school is exceedingly expensive and not something that we need to do or are interested in doing. Roseville City School District, our largest feeder district, they are also addressing these same growth adjustments. Currently, right now, they are working through them, and they know that their boundary adjustments are likely going to change quite soon, probably in the next 5 years, because they are building some new schools, and so they're also working through this. And just so you are aware, I know that we, staff and myself, and I don't know, I can't speak for the other trustees, but have connected with Roseville City School District, have tried to connect and understand what their plans are so we can coordinate where we can. We're aware that these are your neighborhoods, your life, the way that your life runs, and it matters. And so we are trying to coordinate where we reasonably can. Again, staff has been exceptional in taking our direction that we've given over several meetings and translating it into a thoughtful, balanced, and a forward-looking boundary proposal. I do have some tweaks I would like to, though, propose tonight to the board as we talk about this, and give some additional thoughts. Is that something you'd like me to do now? I wanted to discuss several of these neighborhoods first, and give a couple of ideas along there.
Sure.
Okay.
I'd say just do it all at once. Yeah.
So I appreciate, Joe, you giving us a map that has the, what do you call these? The grid codes. The grid codes. So we can look at that. So I'm just going to hang with me, board, as I go through this. So Campus Oaks 450D was previously zoned for Oakmont. It was Oakmont Island until we determined last year that doesn't work out, and we said let's move them to Wood Creek. So the proposed boundary map now has Campus Oaks moving now to Roseville High School. So the good news is the Wood Creek transition hasn't happened yet. It wasn't to happen until I think next year. So that hasn't happened yet. So if we move them to Roseville, we would have the opportunity to align them now without impacting any students that are going to Wood Creek. And moving Campus Oaks to Roseville does address our priority of balancing enrollment. We do need to balance some enrollment. However, Wood Creek High School is much closer with the ability to ride bikes and scooters to school. And depending on what Roseville City School District does, because I think Campus Oaks is a little bit on the bubble right now, to be honest. They may stay with Cooley or they may go to Buljan, but if they stay with Cooley, then you'll continue that feeder pattern of Blue Oaks, Cooley, and Wood Creek. Keeping Campus Oaks with Wood Creek would best meet aligning the boundaries along the major roadways, and I'm just keep that in mind with my thought as we move to 452 and 455A, and that is the Crocker Ranch area and the sister neighborhood across the street, 456A, which is Diamond Oaks. So currently, all of Crocker Ranch, and it's the sister neighborhood across the street, Diamond Oaks, Diamond Woods. There's so many diamonds and oaks and woods. I'm going to say it wrong, but I don't think we have you could put up just a regular map, but it doesn't have, I don't know if you have the grid codes.
You have the grid?
So currently, all of Crocker Oaks, Crocker Ranch, which is the grid codes 458, 454, 452, 455, and 456. Currently, all of those neighborhoods go to Roseville High School, and they're proud Tigers. They love it. The reality, as Superintendent Becker has shared with me, it's kind of half and half in those neighborhoods. About half of them transfer to Wood Creek, about half of them go to Roseville. So it's already kind of a mix. It's not as if the entire neighborhood all goes to Roseville High School. But I understand that they're all currently zoned for Roseville. The current proposal moves a major portion of Crocker Ranch, so 450, 458, 454, 452, and 455. The Crocker Ranch streets that are west of Wood Creek Oaks Boulevard, the current proposal moves those to Wood Creek High School while leaving 456A remaining in Roseville High School. So, and then all of Placer 1 is being proposed to be slated for Roseville High School, except for the piece to the west of Fittiment Road. So the positives of this is Placer 1 is going to bring in large numbers of students, and we need to be prepared for this at Roseville High School. And I think it's a great idea to keep the Placer 1 development in one school. And we don't want to give Roseville too many students. We need to be sure that we don't give them too much capacity. But I am concerned about a short-term loss of enrollment at Roseville High School, while future growth at Placer 1 is going to bring students in. In the meantime, we need to have people to populate our programs there and to give options there for them and to fill our campus. So, and I also recognize the value of the community, of the Diamond Woods community, which is 456A, that they want to keep some cohort continuity for their students and not isolate them out the way it is now. They would be the only community that goes to Cooley. I love elementary schools, but I'm sorry, I can't focus on elementary schools. I'm more concerned with middle schools, but it would keep the middle school, that community separated out, and the only one from Cooley going to Roseville. So, all of that being said, with those neighborhoods, I'm wondering, and I reached out to Joe, in a way I would like to have less impact, and Campus Oaks was currently zoned for Wood Creek High School, and all of Crocker Ranch was currently zoned for Roseville. To keep, I don't want to swap part of Crocker Ranch to go to Wood Creek and move Campus Oaks to Roseville if we don't have to. And I'm wondering if, to keep some continuity for the Diamond Woods community, that we take the boundary that we take that we only move over 458 and 454 to Wood Creek. And we leave 452, 455, and 456 in Roseville. Now, my proposal for the boundary on that, or what I'd like to discuss, is there's a canal that goes through the middle of that Crocker Ranch neighborhood. It is not a major road. It's not the main thing. If you blink, you will miss it. But it does separate that community in that there's no houses facing each other that would then be removed from each other. And I think that in this part of our map, that would it would keep communities together. It would make the lesser impact of communities changing schools, and it would keep students at Roseville while still addressing the needs of not having too many, moving some kids from Roseville, from Wood Creek to, from Crocker Ranch to Wood Creek. Does that make sense? Okay. And I'll stop there. I have thoughts about some other communities, but I'm going to stop there on that community.
Can I say that a little bit more simply? I think.
Would you? Would you, Marla?
No, and I'll give you full credit because you called me today and you said it so bluntly. You just said we are swapping Roseville High School with Wood Creek. So we have existing Wood Creek families and we have existing Roseville families, and we're just making a swap. And why are we doing that? And that made a lot of sense to me. We don't need, why, we don't need to swap, you know, and I'm going to include Misty Woods in that. I mean, I know the current boundaries, we've redrawn them, but we took Campus Oaks and Misty Woods, and we said they're Wood Creek, but now we're gonna make them Roseville, and then we took Crocker Ranch, let's make that Wood Creek, and we just swapped it. And I know the numbers may be a little different, so we still need to talk about that, but from minimizing impact on families, which has always been one of my priorities, I'd like to talk about not making that swap. And so I appreciated how you just very bluntly said that today. I do think we have to make some changes, but I'm not sure that's the change that makes a big difference.
Can I ask a question just on that change? What do the numbers look like when that happens?
You need your mic on, Joe.
You guys hear me?
There
we go. Okay, so for 452A and 455A, which those are the areas I'll highlight here and that are, the proposal has them going to Wood Creek, east of the canal. So this is the canal going down. So if I look to everything pink, east of the canal and above Blue Oaks. So those two are about 150 students. When I look at Campus Oaks, which is this square that's orange right here, that is almost 100 kids. So it's close to a swap, not so about 150 on the Wood Creek side and about 100. What's that?
And what was Misty?
For 50, oh yeah, there's growth. It's about 50, but projected to grow to about 100 over, because it's still a building.
Oaks.
Campus Oaks is still, people are still moving in there, whereas the Crocker Ranch area is fully built out. So,
Thank you.
Not to, well, any other comments on that? that part?
Can I ask, so why not also include 458A and 454A? Meaning keep it at Roseville?
I think we'd
Or
have to ask.
It's 400, okay, so it's too high.
Yeah.
That would be, okay.
Because we've got all of Placer 1
Okay.
coming in.
That was asked and answered.
Yeah.
Okay. So that switch is probably more necessary, just from a numbers perspective. Okay.
And I recognize that this still splits up Cooley. My kids went to Cooley. Cooley has always been a school that goes to a lot of different schools. That's the nature of Cooley and the situation where it is in Roseville. So I recognize that still splits it up, but it doesn't leave Diamond Woods as one little tiny community, that they're the only ones that don't have anybody to go with them to Roseville High School. I'll move on.
I like your suggestion, but I realize we're not voting right now, but thank you
Okay.
for bringing that up.
Then going down to Vineyard, and I'm talking about 353 and 355. So the proposed map moves this neighborhood from Wood Creek to Oakmont, which accomplishes balancing our enrollment, which is a major goal of ours. We do want to balance enrollment. We want to utilize our great programs and facilities. But that little boot there, 353.
Wait, no, I think you mean 353A and 355 is currently Oakmont?
Oh,
It's
I'm
always
sorry.
been Oakmont,
I'm
so
sorry.
it's
I meant
350A.
350 then. Thank you. Thank you. So 350, these Vineyard neighborhoods, this is a similar neighborhood to Mistywood in that it's a little boot on the southeast side of the Silverado boundaries. And it is similar in that we don't want them to just, again, go to school, Heritage Oaks, Silverado, and then that little teeny tiny boot be separated from people that they have connected with. And I will say, I know that our initial goal to balance the enrollment is our most important goal, and we wanted to use major streets, and I think that is super valuable, and I'm glad that we've had that. I think the little squiggly lines that we may come out with at the end to finesse it are kind of show the heartbeat of our school board and of our community, to show that it's not just going to be a straight line. There might be a couple of squiggly lines because we know that there's people in those communities, we know what that community is, and we want to help address it. So if we keep the 350 that is currently going to Wood Creek, and we keep them in Wood Creek, I think that was about 50 students, is that right?
Yes, so probably.
46.
Yeah.
So
50.
those numbers between, if we add the 100 at 450D and the 50 at 350A, that's 150 remaining at Wood Creek, and then 452 and 455 is 150 remaining at Roseville. But just to show those balance out, that 150 we had talked about potentially putting that to Wood Creek. Marla, could you simplify any of that for me?
I think you're doing a fabulous job. Well, I'll just say, I actually drove 350A, and I hate to call it numbers, but the Vineyard, I drove that 350A, and I'll even mention the 353A and 355A that's currently going to Oakmont. I drove that this week, and I see why the 353A and the 355A, I can see why whoever originally did that, it was kind of awkward to move into the next neighborhood. I had to do a U-turn on Foothills, and maybe there's a secret back way, but I know there's so I understand that. And then I drove 350A, and then I went at Brady, and I think it was Brady, nod, okay, and then I hit Wood Creek area. So my heart, and I know no one's been hearing it, but my heart is trying to keep all of the middle school feeder boundaries as close as possible. And so my heart goes out just cutting off that little section. And I appreciate you running the numbers. And But I will say, part of the challenge, which we've been talking about, is geographically, our high schools are in a terrible location to have all this growth in the northwest, and yet our high schools are built they're just in the wrong spot. And so at some point, we have to start sending kids southeast. And I know you feel, okay, I've lived in East Roseville for over 30 years, and I know you feel like, why can't the new people that move in, why can't they just get all the busing? But that's just not the way it works, unfortunately. So we have to at some point, and maybe it's not now, but at some point, what's scary is you could have Wood Creek High School in a different school boundary potentially one day, just because of where everything's placed, or even Roseville High School, that's just on the edge too, so. And maybe even, well, if we have another high school, but now I've said, anyway, good job saying how I feel for everybody okay. Other people should talk.
All right, who wants to have their comments next? Okay, no worries, thank you for coming. All right, trustee Constant, and then, we got a student board member that wants to weigh in.
All right, so first I want to go way back to when we started this discussion. One of the things I wanted to do, if you may recall, is start with a public process and get everyone around table and get the community working on it so they fully understood the challenges that we have. I appreciate Tiffany going over the goals that we had as we started. I think, and I'm going to preface all this with, most of these comments are from the perspective of a dad of five, not two hands, 5 kids, and who literally drove my kids. If you look at this map here, and you look where the West Park High School is, the flag there, my house is right below the R in West Park. And for 9 years, we drove our kids past Wood Creek, past Antelope, past Roseville, and took them to Oakmont every day for 9 years. So when we talk about cross-traffic, I fully understand that. When we talk about kids who are segregated from their middle school friends, of my 5 kids, 3 of them, and me myself when I was a kid, all went to high schools where none of our middle school kids went to. So I've lived that as well. But we are dealing with an area where we represent 195,000 people. And we're dealing with decisions like where to build the schools that were made decades ago, where we have kids who, like in Marla's neighborhood, live really close to Oakmont. They can almost see it, but they go to Granite Bay. We have all these situations like that where people go crisscross. We have a school, West Park, on the west side of town, aptly named, I guess, that a prior board decided to make a special taxing district that represented a attendance boundary that we're sort of locked into as well. And we see all of this growth happening and more coming out in that area. And I could see a time when the boundary for West Park ends up being the street in front of West Park, and people live across the street can't go there because the numbers are so intense. And I will tell you that the demographers have been wrong every single time. I think it's there's only 3 jobs that you can be consistently wrong and still stay employed. Weather person, actuary, demographer. And unfortunately, they never seem to be wrong in the way that's beneficial to us. There's never been a set of numbers where we've been lower than the projections. They've been off. If you look at Roseville's general plan, specific plan, Roseville City's attendance boundaries, their schools. In fact, my neighborhood that I live in, the kids who have grown up in that neighborhood, I've only lived there 11 years. In the 11 years, the kids on my block have been assigned 4 different elementary schools, depending on when they started school. And so we have all these challenges that are around us, including those original general plan and specific plan that didn't reserve any space. So with Placer 1 being built and that big blue area up in the upper left-hand corner that we know is not going to stay blank, nobody reserved a spot for another high school out there. And things are out of our control, like the city of Roseville increasing the density repeatedly in those areas that compounds the problem of the demographer. So I say that just for some context, and my colleagues know I'm usually the one who says things that are unpopular to say. So take all this with the intent that I'm trying to give it, is just making sure that all perspectives are shared here and everybody understands what we're doing. Thank God kids are resilient. And you know, I think most of you know I'm a professor at a college, and I spent the last few weeks since our last meeting talking to students about how many friends they had in elementary and middle school, that they had friends as they were going off to college. And I was actually surprised at how few they had. And I talked to my kids, and only one of my kids maintains some close relationship with, and it's not the one who went to high school with the kids they were in middle school, so kind of a mismatch. So it's just one of those things that when we make these decisions, and I think it might have been Marla who said, someone said, there's no way we can do this without affecting families. And it stinks. But we have to keep going back to what is the best thing for the entire district. The one thing that hasn't been mentioned here that I think is critically important is it's not just about capacity. We know the schools are at capacity, but I want to talk a little bit about Oakmont High School that's right across the parking lot here. Because poor Oakmont High School has gone from boom to bust multiple times. Max capacity, and Granite Bay opens up lower capacity. Max capacity, Wood Creek opens up, they go bust. Max capacity, Antelope opens up and they go bust. Max capacity, West Park opens, they go bust. And we end up with a situation like, was it about 4 years ago, when Oakmont couldn't even provide enough courses for the number of students they had to give them all the options that they would need to make good choices because their population dropped so low. And the one discussion we haven't had tonight is, what does all this do to Oakmont? And everything that, not everything, but most of what's been discussed, particularly in the conversations I've had with community members, keep taking Oakmont and notching it down. And I want to make sure that Oakmont doesn't continue to suffer in the long term, because those students deserve all the opportunities that our students at all the other high schools have. And it gets tough. I remember the phone calls from parents of my kids' friends saying, how come we can't get this elective? How come we can't do that? How come we're not doing that? And so we have those issues on the lower end that I think we have to carefully consider. And we have to make sure, as we're looking at that chart, that we're looking at those low numbers. You know, Oakmont was down, I think, as low as 1,100 or maybe lower at some point. And even at this, they don't get anywhere near the impacted level of other schools. So I want to make sure we think about that. We also got to think about, like, West Park High School. It's great to have all those kids, but that also makes it difficult on kids who want to be involved in extracurriculars and sports and co-curricular and all those other things, because now that it's even a smaller percentage of students based on the size of the student body that get to do that. And then on top of it all, we want to preserve the middle schools, but we know that the middle school boundaries are changing. Roseville City School District has told us they're changing. We know that they're probably going to be building another middle school, and they'll be changing again. And so we have this moving target. That's why earlier, and I know I'm talking in not necessarily a straight line, because you could never read what I've tried to scratch on this notepad here to try and cover it all.
Pete, Marla can simplify for you.
You're wrong.
She didn't have the opportunity of talking to me before the meeting like you guys do. We have this dumb rule where we can't talk to more than one other person before a meeting. So, you made me forget what I was saying.
I threw you off by saying you were wrong.
Yeah, well, I know that. I hear that at home all the time. You have 5 kids and a wife. You hear that a lot. Hopefully she's not watching this right now. So anyway, I just want us all to be conscious of all those things, because they're all really important. And I appreciate the effort going into moving squares. But if we're going to move squares, I know I won't be prepared to vote unless we have a full demographer's analysis and we really understand the impact. And as I mentioned earlier, I really want us to not think of transfer policy as an afterthought. And I'm not saying that that's what we're doing, but one of the discussions we had is, if we're going to make these hard decisions, and we know transfer policies are going to impact those boxes and those colors of readiness or compactness, we better have a really good idea what we're doing, because I want it to be predictable for all the parents. Because I know when I moved here 11 years and what's the date today? 11 years and 11 days ago, I moved here to Roseville, 11/11. And I remember coming to the school district, talking to them about where we were going to go to school. I remember Rob taking me on a tour at Oakmont High School, thinking, why the heck am I going to be driving my kids, almost a dozen miles across town every day? And having transfer policies that didn't make sense. And as a parent, it was really hard to reconcile that. So I really want to see transfer policies that not are just, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, but we have clear indications of sort of bands. If we get here, if we get to the yellow zone, we're going to do this. If we're in the gray zone, we're going to do this. If we're in the red zone, we're not going to do that. So wherever you end up, you as parents and the parents that are coming behind you, because there's thousands of those coming, they can look at that and they can understand whether they can plan or not plan. So that's a lot of saying nothing about what I think of the current map, but I think those are all the things we need to keep in consideration. And I'm not opposed to changes, but I'm opposed to voting on changes unless we have a full demographic breakdown and we can take a look at it and we can compare each of the things that we've had so that we can make the best decision possible. So with that, I think I got all my stuff out of me, unless one of you says something that fires me back up.
All
Thanks.
right, we're going to go to our student board members. They've been waiting patiently.
Hello, my name is Peyton Gomez. I'm the student board representative for Oakmont High School. I'm a senior, and I've had this position for the past 2 years, just so everyone knows. Like I said, I attend Oakmont High School. I live within walking distance. My grandfather graduated from Oakmont. My dad graduated from Oakmont, and my 2 sisters graduated from Oakmont. I have a younger sister behind me. I associate with hearing the football games, hearing the drum line, feeling like a part of the community. And fortunately for me, like I said, I'm within walking distance. Like literally, I can see the football lights from my house. And because of Oakmont's size, like Pete said, I'm in a privileged position, and my neighbors are in a privileged position because we've never really been at a threat to be changed. There are a lot of different considerations that go into the boundary changes that I didn't even know existed, and a lot of you might be in the same position because this is a newer development, especially if you're not in the high school community right now. But as I've been in this position for the past 2 years, I've learned a lot about the way that these things work, and I hear your concerns, and I think that that's important because we're the kids living it right now. And I do want to just say, as an Oakmont student, Oakmont is a phenomenal school. We've had a lot of changes over the past few years with our enrollment, like Pete said. In my past 4 years, there's been a lot of change. The demographics, staff, classes that we've had offered. There is that issue, and I think that kind of me and the other student board representative we're talking about is student to staff ratio. What are the classes looking like? Not only that, but the quality, kind of like what Pete was saying. It's not necessarily about fitting the kids, but what is the best quality of education you can provide for them. And at Oakmont, personally, me and my classmates have been the victim of our school being too small to offer classes consistently. I wanted to take AP macroeconomics my senior year, and I was told I wouldn't be able to take it because of the issue with the electives not being offered consistently, but my sister will be able to take it next year. So that is something that I think is a good point to point out. Another thing that I just want to say, I totally associate with the community aspect, especially at the elementary school level. I have a cousin who lives in West Park. She lives on the same street as her elementary school that she goes to now, but when they moved there, she was told she would have to drive to a different elementary school for TK. That's a change for the family. It's a change for where they're thinking that when they're moving, and a lot of you probably made the decision to move into a home based off of what school you thought you'd be going to. So that is a very valid concern. And because of all these concerns and all these things that I think that we've thought about but we haven't thoroughly looked at, I think it's important to wait. And I agree with Pete. I don't think this is the time to make a rash change that hasn't been considered at all aspects, because obviously a lot of hard work has been put into all of these changes, but clearly not enough consideration for the individual and family and community changes that could be made. And change can be good, but it has to be looked at thoroughly in order for that to happen. And I think that with all of your concerns, and clearly enough of you were here to just, people who couldn't even come probably who felt the same way, I think considering the community aspect is going to be really important here. And this is a really long-winded way of saying that we hear you. And as a student who's heavily involved in my school and my district, my mom works for RCSD, I also agree that the demographers have consistently been incorrect with these things. And from my understanding, the demographer is not from the area. It's actually someone from the East Coast who typically kind of does meetings to talk to the school. I think understanding the community that Roseville has as my family's long-term residents here, I think that that's something that's really important to consider, while also considering community it can't be the deciding factor in everything that the district decides to choose. There are going to have to be some hard decisions that are made. And in student government, we have a slogan, or within our class, you can't make everybody happy. You hire a DJ, not everyone's going to like the music. The dance, not everyone's going to love it perfectly, but it's what works the best for your budget, for your capacity, for your quality. Who can you impact? Who can you benefit the most in the best way possible? And with that, I'm going to have our other student board representative kind of move on from that.
Hi, I'm Sar Mohammadi. I'm here representing Wood Creek High School. So first I have a question and then some comments. So let's say that the decision comes to that we're not going to do this proposed boundary. Does that mean that we're going to go back to the drawing board? And is it a matter of when are we going to change these lines, or how would that work?
I won't speak for Joe, but I think if we don't adopt this tonight, then yes, we would make some tweaks. Ms. Coleman mentioned some ideas. We would look at the demographer, not look at him. We would have him take a look and just come up with some different proposals.
Okay. Just like how Pete was saying, it is a moving target. So if it's a matter of when are we going to change these lines? So I was thinking which way I was leaning because I was on the fence about it, and I learned in my class there's a trustee model, like you would vote based on how the people who want you to be in your position would vote, versus if you're a representative, then you vote based on, I lost my train of thought. But I was here texting a bunch of different people from my school because, well, I was in this position to vote how my entire school would want to. And since I'm in a whole bunch of different activities, it seems the trend is that my friends who were unfortunately split from their friends in middle school, yes, it was hard, but they have become some of the most sociable and most intelligent, successful people I have known because they had to build up that courage to go talk to that new person, which translated to their new things. And they're all seniors, so yeah, but that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All
Hi.
right, oh, go ahead.
If you need numbers, Joe has them all. The demographer already gave them to us. So he has the whole spreadsheet that has those. So if you have any questions regarding those numbers, he has them today.
Okay.
So
Would we have a map so we can visualize it as we're looking at the numbers too, or?
I do not have a map, but I can tell you the, just for example, the proposal that Tiffany brought up, actually I can go back to show you, oh, wrong way. This is yes. So with the changes Tiffany proposed, right now we're projecting Roseville High School having a peak of 1835 in 2032-33. With the proposal Tiffany has, it would be about, I have 45 or 50 higher. So the peak at Roseville would be around 1880. And the peak at Wood Creek, which is currently 2030-31 of 2248, that would go down to about 2200. So we're kind of, based on those changes, we're looking at a plus 50 to Roseville and a minus 50 to Wood Creek. So just to give you an idea.
Any Oakmont impact?
The Oakmont impact would be a reduction of 50 to Oakmont. So Oakmont's high, which would be in 2033 of 1670, that would lower to 1620. So you kind of roughly subtract all the Oakmont numbers by about 50.
So I just had some comments, and I appreciate, I know the countless hours that Superintendent Becker and Joe Landon have put in, and the whole team really to coming up with this, and really started from us having this big problem at West Park where we had a lot of red. But when we sat down as a board and had a study session and looked at our interest, it was not only like addressing the red, but also, trying to get green everywhere. And even, having the whites where it was potentially underserved was a concern. And what's the proposal that's been brought back today, we have a lot more green and less white, and we don't have any red. So I think first of all, I think administration's done what the board has asked to date, which I commend and I appreciate. I know, so I'm a 18-year resident of Dry Creek community. My 3 daughters have all gone through Oakmont. My youngest is graduating this year. And when we were at Creekview Ranch in the Dry Creek district, which is another middle school. You guys are at Silverado. When the kids in my daughter's classes from 8th grade, they went all different ways. We had Oakmont, we had Antelope, we had Wood Creek. all splintered. And I think maybe 5 or 6 from their 8th grade class actually came to Oakmont. But we decided, we heard a lot of great things about Oakmont, and we decided as a family that we wouldn't explore an intra-district transfer request to Wood Creek, even though it was much closer. And we were really happy that we did do that. The years we've been here, the programs, offerings, Health Academy, IB classes, the sports, all of them have been, terrific over those years. Now, I totally understand the interest in keeping, the challenges of going into high school as a new student, especially when, we were maybe 100 or so in 8th grade class, going to a much larger high school is even a bigger culture shock, right? But there's ways to find communities within that big school. Whether it's for starting a sport or theater or music, or a lot of those, they start before school even starts. And my daughters found communities that way and had friends going in that they never would have had otherwise. So I think we're kind of stuck in a challenging place where we're making decisions that aren't going to be, as was pointed out by Peyton, we're not going to be able to make everybody happy. But we're trying to make decisions deliberately and hopefully once, because it's going to be a long term, and we don't want to have a future board have to go through this again in 5 years. And I know that Roseville City is doing it, but they have different circumstances than us. And we have, as a board from the beginning, taken into account attendance areas. We looked at that data of our feeder schools, but we did realize that we're not going to be perfect in keeping everyone together. I do really appreciate the comments. I know we've gotten emails from a lot of you as well. Not so much I haven't seen as much from the 350, so I appreciate you coming out and sharing your interests. I'm going to call it 350, but then your community. I know you, I've walked your neighborhood when I was running for election a couple of years ago. So keep those emails coming. We do hear them. Someone hopefully is responding to you. We don't have a protocol of our board president or administration responding to you to confirm receipt, and we hear you. So even if those of you weren't able to come out tonight, we did read your emails, and I know, I speak for myself, I read all the emails. So I think we're in a challenging spot, and I really, hopefully everyone sees that, and I appreciate those who have commented and saying, yeah, we understand this is a tough spot, but we'd still hoping, we can get it. You can consider our interest here, and I think we are, and we're probably, my feeling is we're not going to be able to make a decision tonight based on info, but I know we can have more discussion if the board likes.
All right, well, I will weigh in last, and then we can go from there. Thanks again just for everybody coming. A tiny bit of background about me, and this is interesting that I am in the middle of this type of decision because my upbringing is completely different than what my children have experienced. I went to 4 different elementary schools, one same school for 7th and 8th grade, and then 3 different high schools. And so, yeah, I know I was not a military kid. That's usually what people ask. So part of it was that my mom was a teacher, so we commuted from Hammer Lane in Stockton, if you know where that is, to South Stockton when I was little. Are you from Stockton? Aw, awesome. Then we moved to Santa Maria, then we moved back to Stockton, but I was no longer able to go to her school, so I was at a different school. Just moved a lot. Then I was in Stockton, and Tokay High School was being built I was bused to Tokay High School in Lodi while Bear Creek High School was being built in Stockton. Then I moved to Atascadero, completely different town, had to meet all new people. And I will say, it really does, I will talk to anybody. Anyone want to talk, go have coffee, right? And so it makes you very versatile and flexible and outgoing and social. And yes, it would be hard sometimes to leave the friends, but we became pen pals because that was way back in the day when you wrote letters and sent them in the mail with an actual stamp. And, it was just a different way of connecting back then. So then fast forward, I've lived in Roseville 26 years, and I'm not kidding. I bought a home, a family home, and I didn't even look at the high school. I didn't even look at the middle school. And lo and behold, I moved smack dab on Pleasant Grove in Washington, where my kids went to Catherine Gates, Buljon, and Roseville High, all together with all their friends. They walk, they bike, and that was so different to me that I'd never even really thought about it when purchasing a home because it was never even a consideration. And that's been great for them. And they do go to school with their neighborhood friends. And I'm here or at work a lot and I need a carpool and we know everybody. And so I can, hey, can you give Nate a ride to water polo or whatever it is? So I've been able to see that that is also really phenomenal too. And this community purchased homes and moved to areas intentionally because that's what they wanted. And so I completely respect and appreciate that as well. And if I had moved to a place thinking that that was the school that I was going to get to go to, then I would want that. So all that being said, I think my bigger concern is that I am worried that the demographers are wrong. And the reason that I bring that up, if you guys remember, like all that part of the orange along Sunset, Placer 1, our demographers told us that all of that would be zoned for West Park High. And obviously that was wrong. And so I know that this is not a popular idea and I'm giving cabinet heartburn over this, but I would just be curious to know what it would look like if there was another high school in Placer 1. I know that if our numbers are correct, we cannot support that. If these numbers that we've been given are correct, we could not support another high school. So I'm not saying that we could. I'm just saying if the numbers are wrong by as much as they were wrong before, then maybe we would be able to support another high school. And we don't have money for another high school. That's a whole nother conversation. I know it stresses you guys out. But it's hard for me personally to be able to make this decision without at least exploring what that looks like. And maybe we look at it and maybe it's a big fat no, and that's okay. It's hard for me to not at least do like a what if hypothetical. And then I also like the suggestions that have been brought up. And I love that you have the numbers, Joe, and we could just like move it around right now, but then I wouldn't feel comfortable making a decision on it without those communities being affected, being notified and seeing a proposal of that map. So I just feel like not ready to make a decision right now. That's where I'm at, so.
I agree that it wouldn't be a good, I think if we are interested in making these changes, I would suggest that we just turn it back to Joe to bring back to the next meeting. I think we can only massage this so many times in so many ways over such a long period of time that I think we are ready to make a decision. These are just the last little finessings that need to take place, but I don't think we should start all over again. We've been through over a year of going through this. And even though the demographers might be wrong, they are the professionals. They're better than me just guessing what I think it might be out there. So I think we should go with the demographers with the information we do have. If we're interested in these changes, if you feel like that's reasonable, what I brought up, Superintendent Becker, if those seem, if there's something I'm not seeing or we're not seeing with that, let us know, but bring that back to us so we can look at that map and those numbers, but I think we should move forward. And actually, all of the communities affected have been notified. I mean, they would need to be notified again, the Crocker Ranch, if they were going to remain in Roseville High School. And of course, I think Tony's done a great job of communicating out, and we should communicate out. But they'd be remaining in Roseville High School. They wouldn't be moving to a new high school. They'd be staying in the high school that they're already in. But I think we need to bring this portion to a close and soon, like in the next board meeting or two, and then move on to the next steps.
Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
Well, first, I remembered what I forgot to say, when I lost my train of thought. That's what happens when you're the oldest one on this side of the room. I'm not going to make that comment on that side. I'm not pointing to any one particular person that might be older than me, but, I almost forgot again, but I remember. No, just kidding. I just want to say that regardless of what school your kid goes to in our district, they're going to get a great education. And I've seen our students from every one of our schools excel in universities and colleges. I see them in my classroom. I have kids from almost every one of our schools that come through my university, and I get to teach them, and I get to see them side by side with each other. And I've also seen some of our graduates go on to college throughout our district and be at some incredible schools and compete head-to-head with students from everywhere. And I can say as a father, my kids have excelled in college and were fully prepared being educated in this school district. So even if you end up, quote, losing, I think you end up winning because your kids get to go to these schools and they're going to get a great education. And then back to the topic, I don't think we should start over. And if I made it sound like that, that's not what I meant. I don't think we should start over. I do think we should continue to move forward. I think we have an obligation to use the demographer's numbers, but have our eyes open to how wrong they could be, and have that, because, you know, when I used to sit on a couple different pension boards, we knew the actuaries would be wrong, but we still relied on them to make our base assumptions, and we took the margin of error as we look forward to try and make the best decisions. I do think that when it comes back, though, we need to have all of the different versions and all the charts available, because it's tough when we're looking at this, but we don't see maybe what we first started with. And for me, I like to compare them side by side. And I think that would be really good to have the charts literally next to each other in the presentation, so that when we're looking up here, we can be going back and forth, not just sliding through them. But I think we should have options. Are we going to go with the original proposed, the new proposed, or the amended proposed, or maybe Joe and the demographer is going to come up with another proposed? But whatever that case may be, I think we need to have all of them so that we can vet them all and do like today, where we didn't really have anything else on the agenda, where we can focus on it and have the discussion and then make a decision. I don't want to throw away everything and just keep working incrementally, because then if we decide we want to go back for whatever reason, we got to renotice and start over again. So those are my thoughts.
All right, Peyton.
I'm just going to end with this because we're about to head out. This is my last ever board meeting, so I'll leave it with this. Going to Oakmont, we don't usually have the best reputation as the school in the district, I'll just be honest. But kind of piggybacking off of what Pete said, my experience at Oakmont has been great. In fact, I went to Oakmont my freshman year, and I thought the grass was greener on the other side at Granite Bay. Turns out, for me personally, it wasn't, and I came back. My experience, the community I've had there has been like nothing other. There have been a lot of students at my school that I didn't even know who they were until my junior year, because they came from different schools. We've had a lot of kids transfer from out of district to Oakmont over the past couple of years. Sometimes it's refreshing to see new faces, and just kind of to give some validity to what Pete was saying. No matter what school you end up at or your student ends up at, they will find community. This is a phenomenal district, and I know that obviously when the trustees say that, it's kind of part of the title. But as a student, like every school you go to, in student government, we do conferences with other student government classes. We go watch their rallies. The school culture at every single high school in this district is phenomenal. There are always going to be things that are better at other schools and that aren't as good at other schools. But ultimately, looking at the quality for your student at every school, it's going to be equal, just different. So you just have to, when they're making these decisions, I've been a part of this ride. Obviously, I don't know all of the inner workings that have gone on, because clearly it's a lot. But I've seen different conversations from all the trustees over time. And there's a lot of things that go into consideration. So no matter what the decision ends up being down the road, just know that your child is going to probably be in the best spot that they have considered, and they're considering all the options and considering everything that you as parents have said. and obviously as students, we're not parents, we don't see this, but I promise your kid will be absolutely fine no matter where they land in this district, even if they're not with their best friends. I had a lot of neighborhood friends who didn't end up going to Oakmont. They moved to West Park. I still stay in contact with them, and with the rise of technology, kind of piggybacking off of what you said, I follow them on Instagram. I reconnected with a lot of my friends, and once you get to driving age, it's like if you play club sports, you end up seeing kids you met, and it's kind of like, oh, I remember you, we were best friends in kindergarten. So no matter what, like this is a pretty tight-knit city. You're gonna see the same people no matter what, and if you stay close with each other, you'll still have that community.
Right, Peyton is hired as the Roseville Joint spokesperson.
So just to kind of add to what was said, and I appreciate it, I mean, one, Tiffany's suggestions really nullifies each other, and it could be done now. It's that simple. There's no major impact to any of the schools. It's just moving grids. The numbers all equal themselves out. There's nothing there for staff to be concerned with. Second, if we were to do a new high school, we would have to close the school. And the second hardest thing beyond attendance boundaries is school closure. Oakmont would go, we've played with this. Oakmont would go to about 800 students. You would have to redo the entire district boundaries. Every single square inch of it would have to be redone. And then you have to add, we'd need 50 to 60 acres and about $400 to $500 million in given construction costs, which would mean we're requiring a bond that everyone would have to pay for, and nobody would want to pay for it if we can't even pass one for 65. So we have looked at that and we've talked about it. It goes back to the schools are just in awkward locations given the growth, but a new school wouldn't benefit. It would only just take away from the east side. You'd probably be back to Granite Bay and Oakmont being one school again. And then Roseville would have to be completely revamped, and they'd be similar. We were looking at it, they'd get down, unless you really overhauled things, you'd be down to about 1,100 kids at Roseville. And so that's the challenge we even see in our feeder districts. The east is declining and the west is growing. And we have 2 schools on the east. And that's part of the problem we all have. It's why Roseville City is doing their changes. It's just too many people on one side, and we have old schools on the other side. And that's the challenge we have right now. As we look at Placer One, it's even scary as you look at Placer One. They can go to Whitney or 12 Bridges and a closer drive even to Wood Creek. And we have a lot of families that utilize that option right now from Crocker Ranch. As we've talked, I mean, the communities, the grid codes we've talked about, there's 369 students of ours. There's also about 50 transfers who have left the Crocker Ranch area to other districts. 31% of those kids go to Roseville, 39 go to Wood Creek, and 15% go to West Park, and the rest are scattered across we even have an Antelope kid from Crocker Ranch, and there's 5, I think, Granite Bay kids, and so that community goes everywhere. And so I think we got to be a little cautious when we say communities. They go everywhere at high school. And so that's always, but you can go to any other part of our district and kids are going a lot of different places than where they're going from elementary to middle school. But that being said, we could bring back the requested numbers. I would just recommend we do that as a standalone meeting because now we have budget and LCAP coming at the same week of graduations, and those are going to take considerable time for presentation. So I would recommend, if you want to do that, we could bring that back. But like I said, from a staff perspective, and I already checked with Joe over there, we can make the changes now. It's not that complicated in terms of numbers. The numbers, like I said, kind of equal each other out. It's just moving grid code here to grid code there. But that, again, that's up to the board. I'm just letting you know in terms of that, we could do that, or if we could bring it all back, I would just recommend a separate meeting for that, just so they can have the time that it needs, to really have the right conversations, so.
So I personally prefer another meeting, and I would like to see the numbers for each move, because when we look at Oakmont, 50 may not seem like a lot, but taking 50 kids out of a school is significant when their numbers are so small. At West Park, it would be a rounding error. At Oakmont, it's an issue. So I think we need to look at that. I think.
I also, I appreciate what you're saying, Pete, and I think that it would be good. I would appreciate a scenario that keeps the half of Crocker Ranch with Roseville High School and cuts out the little boot for, that's at the bottom there at Vineyard and goes to Wood Creek. And another scenario, I am cognizant that little boot at the bottom, I am cognizant of keeping that boot with Silverado, but I don't, our number one priority was to balance enrollment, and I don't want to harm Oakmont High School with that. We need to make sure we're meeting that goal as well. So I don't need more than those two maps and numbers personally. I don't need to go back and see all the other maps. To me, it's just confusing. We've put so much work into getting to where we're at right now that I think let's work with this map and with the two additional maps. And I do think, I know we could do it tonight, but I feel like it would be most transparent with community if we moved it to another meeting and gave out that information.
I want to come back to Pete's point about the transfers too. And I think, and I might not be saying what you're trying to say, but I'm going to try. I'll be the translator for Marla. But I think for me, at least what I would want to know, Joe, like if we're looking at this 330A and 331, or what I've been calling the Vineyard Strip, because I didn't know what else to call it, like that, you know, if we're looking at taking that area and moving it, can we accomplish that by leaving that section at Wood Creek, but just making a transfer policy that's a little bit different in this blue area? Sorry, I need like, you know, like I would be curious to see what the transfer activity is around there. You know, and if we're letting a lot of transfers into Granite Bay, can we alter that practice a little bit to get the attendance to Oakmont? Does that
So,
make
yeah,
sense?
one of the challenges with that is you can't have a policy that specifies schools. It has to be open to all. So if you have room at Granite Bay, everybody has to have access to it, which is a challenge. And if you cut off transfers, Granite Bay has our most inter-transfers. It's a significant cash flow issue you would be causing for us. And so that's part of the challenge with that. So one of the things with transfers, and Mel and her team have done a great job, it's 2 years in, we've cut transfers by 50% in the district in the last 2 years. That's a significant number of transfers. And the other side is there's fewer requests for transfers. And then we talked about, at one of our meetings, about a 5% rule. Well, that's exactly what has left Oakmont. It's only about 5%. But they also gain a lot. And so there's some kind of trade-off when it comes to that. There's other things we can look at as we keep going, but the transfer stuff, especially with West Park, Wood Creek, is changing a pattern right now. And as you get some siblings through, usually any of these changes take about 4 to 5 years because there's sibling attachments. And so when you look at, like when I look at Crocker Ranch, which, you know, is Roseville, and you still see some numbers, those are all sibling attachments still going through Wood Creek. That's how they're getting into Wood Creek, is they have siblings. And so it's going to take another 2 to 3 years before that filters out. It's like there's 55 students at West Park from Crocker Ranch. We know in another 3 years that's going to get to single digits, then finally to 0. And so we'll start to see some of those patterns change. But that's going to take several years to do. And so Mel and her team, they've started this about 2 years ago, and have done a really good job with it. And I think we're going to continue to see that pattern shift a little bit, you know, and then, but boundaries, current or changes, is what changes the culture of the transfers. And so if we were to go with what we have today, or even some of the suggested changes, it really wouldn't change any patterns. You'd get the same requests from Crocker Ranch that we have now. You know, the question is going to be more not what's happening internally, but what we leave go out. out of the district, that's a different conversation. Unfortunately, the county Office of Ed controls that process. And so, we'll see where that goes, and they usually approve all of the appeals. But, we'll see where that goes. But yeah, the transfer-wise, that's all in process right now. And again, Mel and her team have done a really good job to go from 1,200 to just under 600 transfer requests in just 2 years' time. Is pretty impressive. We changed the transfer windows. And so probably in another 2 years, we'll really see the fruits of that labor and the results of that. And I think some of our schools are going to start to see an increase of students because that opportunity is no longer there. If you look at the Oakmont area, once the sibling attachments, again, use a word from earlier, grandfather out, you're going to see a lot of people in the Creekview Ranch area who have been used to being able to get to Wood Creek, not be able to get to Wood Creek. And so you are going to see a shift in that culture and those patterns. And so that's what we're waiting for. But again, we're still a couple years out from seeing what that really looks like once the siblings are out of the system. And so we'll be, like I said, I'm excited for that. I think we've seen the results of that. And I think that'll only continue to improve with what Mel and her team have been doing.
Was that what, you may have been trying to say something different about transfers, but that was my question around it.
No, I know we had talked about a bunch of different varieties. I haven't had a chance to sit down and talk to Mel or Joe about it, but I do think that it needs to be really clear, and because of the obligations we have legally and otherwise, I think that having it set up with tiers that are justifiable and actionable help protect us in that. And I don't remember, I'd have to go back to my notes from that meeting, but we talked about, bless you, we talked about what happens and hits different stages and how you might have a policy that looks at all of that so that there could be some predictability. So it's not just their kid got in, my kid didn't get in, why? And it's, well, here's the criteria, because we know we're going to have this problem. We know that the numbers are going to change, and so the more specific we can be and the more structured we can be, the more predictable it will be and defensible for us as well when we have to make those hard decisions.
All right, so am I understanding then?
Well, I think to address the community concerns, most all the emails and the people that we've heard from today, in terms of what we need for maps and charts, is I think not doing that switch, so keeping Campus Oaks and Misty Woods, or I should say, seeing the map and chart where we keep Campus Woods and Misty Woods with Wood Creek, and then keeping 452A and 455A, that part of Crocker Ranch with Roseville, just seeing what that map looks like with numbers, and then with and without moving 350A. I think that would address all of most of the community's concerns, and then we just make decisions from that. One thing we haven't mentioned is the 330A and the 331A. That's currently that strip goes to Wood Creek, but that strip is also part of Creekview Ranch. And I think I was assuming that we're moving that section to Oakmont because it's part of Creekview Ranch. It's, again, if we're keeping communities together, but we haven't really talked about that. And I don't know if someone might have brought up some people were just using Vineyard in general. I don't know if they were referring to 350. There might have been one community member that was in that other section, but.
We did talk about the arterial and also the anticipated growth.
In that strip?
Yeah.
And yes, that was my understanding in this, that it's just 350A that we're saying to remain with Wood Creek.
Well, we don't know. I was going to say, that's the one that's made that we need to maybe officially decide.
That was because 350A goes to Silverado?
Yes.
and all of the 330 and the 331, that's the K-8 Creekview.
Yes.
And I want to move them to Oakmont High School. That's important we have to move our population east, and that's part of that. So I agree with you, with what you just said, Marla. I think come back with the maps, make sure that works, but I don't want to draw it out. I'd like to come to the next meeting and personally make a decision on this and then get to the transfers. I think that's really important. I feel okay about where we're at, where we've started with transfers. I know we're going to continue with that, and it is absolutely essential to what we're talking about. But I think we need to get the map done, and then we can really dig into the transfers and get clarity on that, or more clarity.
Well, I appreciate that you're comfortable with it, but, I think we all need to be comfortable with making a decision. And I do think we should have a special meeting and focus on it.
Well, I wasn't saying make a decision tonight. I was saying have another meeting.
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
All right, so, what's that? Yep, I think it's
just
choosing
direction.
another date.
Yeah, basically
Yeah.
the action is they have our direction.
Yes, we have your direction. I think, and I have it pretty clear on the other scenarios. I think does the board want me to bring these to the upcoming May 12th meeting or a separate meeting?
Today's the 12th.
Sorry, May 12th.
No, we're going to try to do
Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
a separate meeting.
June 9th.
May 12th? We still got another hour or two for today.
Right, yeah.
So May 26th meeting, which
Oh.
we do have a decent agenda already, as John
Yeah.
said, with LCAP and budget. So whether we want to jam it in there or come up with a separate meeting.
I agree with the superintendent. It should be a special meeting.
Get your calendars out.
Yeah, calendars. No? Okay. Right after Brad's
I was
retirement
gonna
party.
say.
You guys
John,
wanna do
John, are you
Tuesday?
just gonna start throwing out dates?
The 19th right now looks to be the most available. Yeah, next week.
Oh, that is Roseville High School AMAs.
Yeah.
And that's
I mean, no
analog,
matter what,
yeah.
there's something every
Okay,
night
I'm
the rest of the
I'm
school
just
year.
saying, okay.
Unless you want to go a different time of day.
I can do
I can do
morning.
19th.
I'm thinking, I know it's hard to call this on the fly, but I think we're going to have crazy schedules and maybe a poll from Kim to have options to get this calendared, even if it's a day thing. I think with
I agree.
AMA's graduation and just everything, end of May, I think I have something every night.
Yeah, I like those little surveys that you send us, Kim.
Is the June 9th meeting, are we too full on that meeting to just utilize that date?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot on there. Plus, we'd like to try to get some of this resolved before everyone's off at the summer, in case there's more we have to do.
And I would just say on the 9th, I'm going to be participating remote, and I'm going to be multiple hours away, so I'll be into the wee hours of the morning with you.
I think maybe do a poll, Kim, and then we can, yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like we will have a meeting to be determined in the next couple of weeks to just look at this. And I need to get us to the next item on the agenda, you guys. I got to click out of here really quick. Okay, so are we ready then to go on to item 9, staff reports and any other informational items? Hearing none, nothing. Okay, this was the staff report. Thank you, by the way, Joe. I know that you guys have spent hours and hours. Thanks to everyone who came and spoke. We have our pending agenda items, and we'll get this next thing scheduled, and we just need a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All right, all those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
All right.